It is high school football, Alabama's after the game. This is our live AHSAA Reclassification show. Jon Holder along with Coach Michael Short. We also have Coach Steve Smith of Westbrook Christian High School here with us live on this Friday morning. A lot of information coming out. We're going to take care of East Alabama. There's other places out there where they're talking about South Alabama and North Alabama. We're going to be talking about AHSAA District 6. Before we get there, well, what we know right now, this will be the big news for a lot of folks. Before we get into the specifics, we know a lot of folks out there are wanting to know exactly what region you're going to be in, those kind of things. We can tell you this morning that if you are a private school in East Alabama, you will not be in a region or an area with a public school any longer. The AHSAA announcing this morning that there's going to be a split off. They're not calling it a split. We're going to call it a split because that's what it is. So we are going to see all of the private schools. And so here in East Alabama, that's folks like Victory Christian, Donahoe, Westbrook Christian. You've got Victory Christian, Coosa Christian, folks like that. They will no longer be competing with the public schools for playoff spots. They can still play the public schools in the regular season, but when it comes to postseason, there's not going to be that anymore. So there are going to be two classifications of private schools. They're calling this a single A or a 1A private and a double A or a 2A private school league. The top 17 schools in the state of Alabama based on enrollment that are private schools, that will be in the Class 2A. The rest of the private schools in the state will be in the Class 1A private school. I know this is confusing because you're going to have 1A private, 1A public. You're going to have 2A private and 2A public. Also, there's no more 7A. 7A does not exist anymore. This is going to be 6 classifications, only 6. The top 32 teams, again, will be in 6A, not 7A. So then 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, and 5A will be spread out amongst 5 classifications, with the exception of I think with Fort Dale coming in this next year, will be 59 schools in the state that are private schools. Those schools will not be in that 1A through 5A. We have hit you with a lot. We'll tell you 2 other very important things here pertaining to the private schools. For years now, we've had an enrollment count with a private school, each student counted as 1.35 students. That is gone. Also, there's been a competitive balance for about 10 years or so that has been in effect where if you won state championships, went to the semifinals, there was a point system and you could potentially be moved up in a certain sport to a different classification. That is also gone as well, with the private schools going now into basically their own classification. So, guys, I've explained about everything. Coach Smith, if I left anything out, Coach Short, if I've left anything out, y'all jump in here and tell me. But Coach Short, I'm going to go with Coach Smith first.
Yeah, please do.
Get his reaction here because he is at Westbrook Christian School, which is a private school.
You know, it's very surprising. I was very surprised with the breakdown. You know, you had lots of rumors been going around for the last couple of weeks. None of the rumors that I had been hearing the last couple of weeks had this type of structure with 2 private school divisions and only 6 classes of public. So, you know, just kind of like everybody else, been waiting to see what was going to happen and then try to adjust and go from there and play under whatever structure that we have to play under.
We were watching a press conference here involving Heath Harmon, Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. What was kind of your initial emotions? Because you're a guy, obviously, one of the reasons we've got you here today is because 2 reasons. One, he's coached public school and private school, but also because, in my opinion, there's nobody that knows the landscape of high school football in this state better than Steve Smith does. So your initial emotions as you heard officially some of these rumors that we've been hearing about.
You know, again, surprised that there was 2 divisions of private schools. You know, I thought there might be some type of separation, at least with the smaller private schools, because, you know, over the years, the private school domination at the smaller school levels has been a point of contention. Not knowing that there was a possibility of 2 divisions of private schools. And now the crazy part is, you know, when they announced the top 17 are going to be, by enrollment, are going to be in 2A private, I'm not even sure where we fall as far as in the pecking order. I don't even know Westbrook Christian what our number is as far as how it relates to all the other private schools. I don't know if we would be in the top 17. And the thing you got to also realize is it's not necessarily just the top 17 for football. When you say top 17 and everybody else, there's a lot of private schools, I think 14 private schools that don't play football. And so they would be in somebody, and all 17 of the larger ones, I'm not positive that all 17 of the larger ones play football. You know, there's one pretty large private school that I'm fairly certain does not play football. So it's kind of a hard thing to look at and determine who's who, because with competitive balance the last few years, you've been seeing some private schools play 4A or even 5A that might have been 2A or 3A by numbers. So it's going to be interesting to see when the numbers or the school listings actually come out, who is that top 17 and who is the bottom or everybody else. I mean, I really don't even know where we would fall in the ranking system of size of private schools.
And we are going to bring you that. We may not have the exact enrollment numbers yet. That's going to be released at some point today, but we will have at least the regions. And we don't know at this point in time, you know, we just don't know. We don't know if there's going to be an area, a region, what they're going to call it as far as football goes, and what type schools we would assume here in East Alabama that Westbrook would be in. If you're if you're in that 1A, we would assume you'd be in with Donahoe and Coosa Christian and Victory Christian, people like that. You would assume, we don't want to assume, but we would assume that those schools would all be, because those are all smaller. We really don't have a large private school here in this part of the state. So, Coach, you know, you would assume that you're going to be in with, you know, Victory, Coosa, right down the road from you, maybe Donahoe, folks like that.
You would think that most of the larger privates are going to be in Montgomery, Mobile, Birmingham, Huntsville. I mean, you know, you start trying to name off the private schools you can think of that are 4A, 5A, 6A. Most of those are going to be found in the larger cities, but there's no guarantee on that. You don't know that those people necessarily, some of them may be playing in a larger classification due to competitive balance. You know, so I'm anxious to find out who the top 17 are in that division and who the rest is. I mean, I think we're going to be one of those schools that would kind of be on the fringe just from an enrollment standpoint. I'm just not positive.
It'd be a lot like Cleveland County was for a long time. We're right there going north and south as far as we might be north, might be south, depending on what somebody else was classification-wise. But please, people right now, be patient with your head coach at your school. Don't be calling them right now or texting them right now, because they don't know either. No. And they're right now trying to figure out, they're on the phone, because a lot of these guys are trying to schedule. And they still don't know. I mean, where does it count if I play? You know,
100%.
Steve Smith, or is it does not count? Because that will have a whole lot to do whether I call and ask you, do you want to play? Because if I play and you were just playing for the heck of it, or if I beat you, do I get points for it from my playoff tiebreakers?
Well, at the point that people have not talked about the delay on all this stuff. I mean, it's been a scheduling nightmare for everybody, but in particular a private school that didn't really know if we were going to be in the same regions or if we were going to be split all together. You know, I've had a lot of people that I consider friends, and they would tell me, you know, we'll think about it, but we're not necessarily going to tell you yes, because there had been some rumor out there that you weren't even going to be allowed to play private schools during the regular season. And so I couldn't fault those people for not giving a straightforward answer, because they didn't know. And, you know, so the uncertainty part of it. And you got to also think of it like this. I mean, small schools have always been in the dilemma of travel and things of that nature. You know, if there's 25 football playing private schools in the small division and 17 in the larger division, I mean, how far are you going to have to go to get games?
And in playoffs.
North, south, east, how do you actually?
Well, I think those divisions will probably be treated a lot like the 7A has been treated here in the last few years, you know, and of course this year 7A even rotated, and they did. I think the Huntsville 7A region crossed over in the first round with the Mobile, so I think there was a lot of people that were traveling the length of the state, you know, just for the first round playoff game. So again, a lot of things that have to be worked out, a lot of things that are going to have to happen on the fly, and probably a 2-month shorter window of time to get it done than we've had in the past when we've been able to find out these new classifications, you know, in December.
We're going to be with you for a while here. We are not constrained by time. So we're going to take as much time as we need to get you all the information that you need. We're going to probably just treat Coach Smith here as a co-host today and pick his mind today. What we do want to say is we are being brought to you today by Farmers and Merchants Bank, also Judd Edwards State Farm Insurance, and Calhoun County Commissioner Danny Shears making this program possible. You'll hear more about all of those entities and individuals here coming up. But right now, we do have, I believe, some graphics to show you as it's starting to come out now. So let's go. I think we've got Class 1A, right? and I'm seeing this for the first time at all.
What is aerospace and aviation? What is that?
And so if we got some misspells or anything like that, but this is football. This is all football. Class 1A Region 6 is Alabama Aerospace and Aviation. I think that is in Huntsville, but it may not be.
You would think it would be.
Do they play football?
I
got put in a region.
We're at a walls here. We'll see. That's obviously a new member coming into the Athletic Association. So 1A Region 6, Fayetteville, Lochapoka, Notasulga, Wadley, Winterboro, and Woodland. We want to focus on the three at the bottom there and including Fayetteville too. The teams from District 6 from our neck of the woods, Fayetteville, Wadley, Winterboro, and Woodland. And then you've got Lochapoka, Notasulga, and this Alabama Aerospace and Aviation in Class 1A Region 6. This is going to be a region where not a lot of big changes here, except for Lochapoka coming in, Notasulga coming in, Wadley, Winterboro, Woodland in there. Donahoe was in this region. Victory, obviously, was in this region, but they're moving into the private schools, and Donahoe was in this region. They're moving to the private schools. So, guys, we're already seeing the effect here. This region last year, you probably would not have had Lochapoka and Notasulga in there because you would have had Donahoe and Victory Christian. But now they're going to private school, so that's bringing up two schools in the Auburn area into this region. So we're already in this first region already seeing the effects of this.
Well, and the thing you also got to understand, when you take out the private schools and you got 6A is going to be the top 32, you're going to see the bottom of classifications, the bottom of what used to be 6A are going to be 5A, the bottom of what used to be 5A is going to be 4A. The bottom of what used to be 4A is going to be 3A. There's going to be some really big shakeups here. I looked at something just a minute ago that showed what a 4A region looks like, and there's fixing to be a shocker of a 4A team. Yeah. It's going to come into one of our local regions here that nobody anticipated them being 4A. So, I guess having to try to divide the regions up equally and getting people to where they're in at least a 6 or 7, 8 team region, you're going to have some people that's going to maybe come north that you always have been south. And if that school that you're mentioning, if they're in Huntsville, I'd hate to know that school would have to go to Lochapoka.
I don't think they're in Huntsville. They may be, we'll have to look at that
we'll find out
after the break. But we're going to take a short break here. We've got more information coming. We know you're waiting patiently for your regions. We're going to have every region, all the reaction. Just stick right here with us. We'll take a short, very short, about 1 minute break, and then we'll be back with more of our AHSAA Reclassification show here on High School Football Alabama's After the Game.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the F&M Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnm.bank. Member FDIC.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Judd Edwards for your personal price plan today.
One of our great sponsors, Calhoun County Commissioner Danny Shears. Let me tell you, just this week, I worked alongside Danny Shears at the Calhoun County Basketball Tournament, Fellowship of Christian Athletes tip-off banquet at the City Meeting Center. Had virtually all the schools in the county there eating a great meal, hearing the gospel. Great night. This was Danny Shears. This was his baby. This was his idea. The Calhoun County Football Media Day that you no doubt hear a lot about when we get into July. That was Danny Shears. That was his idea to pull that off. He is a guy that if you see him on Friday nights, you're going to see him. He's going to be at a high school football game. He's going to be at a high school basketball game. You're going to see him all over the county tournament. This is a guy that supports our schools in Calhoun County like nobody else that I know, and he's making this show today possible for you here on after the games coverage of the AHSAA. So when you see Danny Shears, he's here with us. We may pull him up on stage here in a little bit. He's here with us today, live in studio, and thank him for all that he does for our schools here in Calhoun County. Back on the set now, we're going to go jump right back into another region here. We got Class 1A Region 8, joined by Westbrook Christian head football coach Steve Smith, Coach Michael Short, my co-host on Friday nights. Here is Class 1A Region 8. And this is kind of a combo region, I call it. This combines the old Region 6 and Region 8 kind of together. So you got Appalachian, Cedar Bluff, Galesville, Ragland, Spring Garden, Valley Head, and Woodville. Again, really this is the same region that we had in Region 8 with the exception of two things. One, you're pulling in Ragland. You got Ragland in there. That's basically the same except for Cedar Bluff. Cedar Bluff, we expected this. They went to 2A. They're coming back down to 1A now. So that's going to be really the key difference. I think from my memory serves me right, this is the only difference we're seeing here is that we got Cedar Bluff coming into this region. And that will be good news, I think, as far as travel goes. Obviously, the Galesville-Cedar Bluff rivalry, which went away, Coach, and you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
It went away for the last 2 years. That's going to be back into play. So good to see Cedar Bluff and Galesville playing each other. Got a lot of those county rivals. A lot of those teams, as you know, Coach, have played each other for a long time and are traditional rivals.
Yeah, you know, that looks like a very strong region for 1A Region 8. Cedar Bluff, Galesville, Spring Garden, all those county schools in Cherokee County back in the same region for the first time in a long time. Same class, same region. And then you got Appalachian, who had a great season last year. Ragland's traditionally strong. Valley Head has their times when they're strong. Woodville's been strong. I mean, that's a really strong region. That's 7 really good teams all grouped together.
And I know Cedar Bluff will be glad to be back from 2A because they were there with some really good football teams last year, like Pisgah, Pleasant Valley, and folks like that. So they'll be back down, and that'll be a solid region. Let's go now to Class 2A. Coach Short, going to get your thoughts on this one right here. This is 2A Region 4. This is B.B. Comer, Central of Coosa, Dadeville, Horseshoe Bend, Lynette, Ranburn, Randolph County, and Reeltown. Now, you've got some movement here. You got folks, and again, Coach Short, this is where we see this condensing down when you're spreading over 5 classes instead of 6. This is why you got folks like Dadeville, folks like Randolph County moving down from 3A to 2A. That, just on the face of it, Coach, and of course you're a Cleburne County guy, so I can talk to the Ranburn folks over there. That really, to be honest with you, Ranburn and B.B. Comer are the only 2 teams in Randolph County. Those are the 3 teams that are in our district, in our region, that are in this region. But, Coach, that is traditionally year in and year out, that is a double tough region. And you got, look at that, Reeltown and Lynette and Randolph County in that region. That's, Coach Short, that's a mighty tough region there. A lot of good quality football teams. So,
excuse me, guys. My phone, when you're looking at me, my phone is just literally vibrating off here, sending pictures to me. And there's a lot to hear. This is the first time since, we went to 6A that we've had this kind of changes.
Massive shift, yes.
So my mind, I'm trying to wrap it around this. You know, I thought, well,
we're seeing this for the first time.
Are we north and south? I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, so that's Region 4.
That's a southern region.
That's a southern region. So Ranburn's used to that, having to go south. They're used to being in there with the real towns and the people that are, you know, probably more athletic than they are. So they're used to that. At any one point in time, any year, that could have 3 teams that could compete for a state championship. And I promise you, right below Horseshoe Bend, that Lynette team is a young team. Right. And they're probably looking at now, well, we might have a chance again. Then we got Reeltown in Randolph County. That is a very competitive region right there.
Only 3 teams in this region, think about this, only 3 teams in this region are from District 6, from our, so that tells you about the southern component of this. And Coach Short, your friends over in Ranburn, it does not, they were in a tough region last year. But it does not get any easier. As a matter of fact, you're throwing Randolph County in there and Dadeville, who always has great athletes in there. This has gotten even tougher by my estimation.
To me, for Ranburn, it may be one of the tougher regions they've ever been in. You know, they have been in there before with 5 years ago. They'd have to end up playing. But that ain't going to happen now. I mean, they're going to play everybody, and that's going to be a southern region there. A lot of travel, I say again, for them. Yeah,
So that's Class
gonna be
2A
tough.
Region 4. Do we have another region? We got another region to look at here. This is 2A Region 6.
Oh, my goodness.
And Coach
How about that?
Coach Smith, you predicted this and said this might happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
We thought in the offseason that Sachs and Walter Welborn might drop down to Class 2A. We thought Pleasant Valley would stay 2A. We thought AHSAA would drop down to 2A. But, Coach, the big one there is the Piedmont Bulldogs.
that?
You're the former longtime head coach at Piedmont. I want your reaction to what we're seeing on the screen here.
Well, you know, it strongly resembles the old 3A Region 6
Yes.
when you see Sachs and Welborn and Pleasant Valley, AHSAA, Piedmont, all in there. You know, Vince, I know very little about them. West End being an Etowah County school, I know a little bit about West End and Gaston. Surprising. I knew the enrollment at Piedmont was down a little bit, but this is exactly what we were talking about earlier. 6 classes taking the privates out, and some people at the top end or the bottom end of a particular class is going to drop down and be some of the larger schools in a smaller class. Piedmont's the big shocker right there, falling to 2A, but I think that's a result of taking these private schools out and playing their own division, and there they are sitting as probably one of the larger 2A schools now in a region that's easily travel. I guess the longest trip there in that region for anybody would probably be when they had to go to Vincent. But
That's
nice,
a District 6 region because every
Yep.
school except Vincent is
right.
in District 6. As a matter of
Right.
fact, I think every school here is in Etowah or Calhoun County, right?
Yep. Yeah, so those schools are going to have a great time with travel. You know, those are going to be close trips, and again, keeping a lot of the Calhoun County rivalries in place. You know, Weaver's the one noticeable omission there, and I don't know. Does that mean Weaver stays 3A? I mean, you know, that's the one that sticks out in my mind.
Coach Short, I think when we start talking about condensing things down, as Coach Smith talked about, moving from moving the private schools out and then condensing down
Yep.
to 6 classes, this may be, we haven't seen them all, but Piedmont moving from 3A to 2A, that may be the greatest example of the effect
Yes.
of what
Yep.
this reclassification has done of anywhere in the state, because you got one of the top programs in this state in Class 3A football now into 2A, and there's probably some teams in there going, like maybe West End, folks like that going, what did we do to deserve this, to have Piedmont come into not only 2A, but to come into their region with them?
Well, I'm still getting over the fact that we went to 6 classes too,
Right.
because that to me that was money. But anyway,
Right.
taking away a classification. But I still sitting here trying to wrap my head around it. But what people need to understand is, you know, we've got some teams out of 3A and they've moved into 2A, and they're going to think, oh, automatically we're going to win it now.
Right.
No, there's some guys there in 2A that can,
There's
that
some
can
really
play
good teams,
also,
that's
real
right.
good football teams.
Right.
So don't fool yourself into thinking just because you drop down
Right.
automatically means you're going to be a state champion.
And you know, I said this to a lot of folks over the last couple of weeks. I said, be careful what you wish for.
Exactly. 100%.
Because you might just get it. And I said, there are going to be teams that are going to move down
Yep.
into your classification. You may be thinking, well, we got rid of this team, this private
Right.
school team that was so good.
Right.
But the unintended consequence of that is you might get a Piedmont. So this region got rid of maybe a Coosa Christian,
Right.
but then you got Piedmont coming in. So
Right.
I don't know that that's probably an even swap.
Well, it's going, and like I said, when we get to 3A and 4A, you're going to see it again. There's going to be some people that's dropping that nobody ever imagined that.
Let's go. We've got another region to look at here, I believe, and this is going to be Class 2A Region 7. Really no local teams in this one. This is Faulkville, J.B. Pennington, Lexington, Phil Campbell, Sheffield, Tanner, and Winston County. The reason that we're showing you that one is because J.B. Pennington was in Class 3A, and they were in this 9-team region in Class 3A
Right.
Region 6 with Westbrook and Piedmont and all those folks. They are now moving out. And actually moving down to Class 2A. So I don't think, and we don't know this for sure, but I don't think that we've got any 9-team regions. Not at least in this part of the state. We got another region to look at here. This is 3A Region 4.
Over there.
Wow. Okay.
Cleburne County.
Cleburne
Hanley,
County.
Mumford, Talladega, 3A schools,
Hanley.
and Weaver State.
Weaver State, White Plains. This is the shocker right here. Let me tell you, folks, I'm going to say that we are seeing this the same time you're seeing this.
Right.
So we are reacting in real time to this. Look at this. Asheville, Cleburne County, Hanley, Munford, Talladega, and White Plains, all of those dropped from 4A to 3A.
And 3A South, John, look at that
Yes,
region number.
Region 4, that's
3A
right.
South, and so now you're talking about Asheville is in the South. You're talking about these schools.
Weaver is in the South.
Weaver's in the South. These 4 schools that make the playoffs out of this region could very possibly have to go to Mobile for round 1 of the playoffs.
So let me count here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 8 teams in this region dropped from Class 4A.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, this is that domino effect again of taking
Coach,
out.
are they happy in Heflin about this, Coach? What do you think? He's looking. He's.
They got it on the jumbotron right now. I'm not. They're still in the South. Okay, I see that right now. And look, then there's Hanley, who people said Hanley had a down year. They probably give Jackson the best competitive game of the year. You saw them on film. You know how good they were.
We're not seeing the rest of 3A, but Jackson's going to be 3A as well.
Yeah,
Jackson's going to be in the South 3A.
Yeah, because what you have to see is I knew where Cleveland County's numbers were at, so I knew where they were sitting. They've just taken about half of 4A and dropped them down into 3A.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I kind of knew.
6 of the 8 right here, and this is region alone. 6 of the 8 teams dropped from 4A.
Because you took 7As, that's 32, and we've moved them, so at least 32 out of each class is bumping down.
And minus
close
private.
to it.
And
Minus
like I said,
private. Could be more than
We're
that.
going to be all 4A and below. That's where you're going to see the.
But I will say this about that region: they have played those people before. We've played every one of those. And the thing about it is, at least they're not driving every weekend to Bullock, to Booker T, Tallahassee, and
St.
places like
James,
that. They're not having to do that. So these are people. This region right here can become, in 2 years, a rivalry for them.
And to show you something here, I believe that I'm correct in saying this. This is the first time ever in history since we went to 6 classifications that Cleveland County has been 3A. I think it's the first time that that Talladega has been 3A. So you got a couple of teams here. Those other teams have all been 3A in the past, including Hanley and Munford. But you've got 2, maybe 3 times. We'll have to double check on Munford there. It may be the first time for Munford to be 3, but I know for Cleveland County and for Talladega, this is the first time that they've ever been in 3A, for sure.
I already knew, even before this came out, people were already talking about Hanley and Munford possibly moving down because of their numbers. They already knew, and so I thought, well, that wasn't a surprise. But boy, when I saw Cleveland County sitting there at 3A, I said I should have known that, because when I knew that we condensed to 6, where they were sitting as far as numbers, that's where they were going to. So they're probably at the top right now of 3A as far as numbers are concerned.
I think them and Hanley and Talladega for sure probably would be there. You know, the thing that strikes me from a football standpoint is, I think you guys might agree with me, I think for most of these schools, maybe all these schools, this is good news. I think these schools are excited here because Hanley probably, just based on the last few years, Hanley probably maybe at the top of that region, but after that, this is a really competitive region. You know, Cleveland County played White Plains, had a great game with them. They played Munford, they played Talladega, had some competitive games in there. So I'm thinking that this is good news for a lot of these teams, because there's going to be some great competitive games in this region.
It shows me, because I've knew, if you remember 2 years ago, if it hadn't have been for the 2 private schools that moved, AHSAA schools that moved in, White Plains and Hopes Bluff probably would have been in 3A instead of 4A.
If Glenwood and Lee Scott moved in, and it bumped them to 4A.
So that means White Plains was at the bottom of 4A then.
That must mean that, well,
they've gained some players, is what I'm saying. They've gained some people the past 2 years, is what that tells me.
Speaking of Hopes Bluff, let's go to 3A Region 6 and look at this one. This is going to be, it looks like we've got 3 Etowah County schools, and then the rest of these schools are Coleman and Blount County. Okay, so you got your Blount County schools, Aniana, Susan Moore. Then you got your Coleman County schools, Hansville, Holly Pond, and Vinemont. And then you got another Blount County school there. We said Aniana. Then you got 3 Etowah County schools there. Etowah, Glencoe, and Hopes Bluff. Here's another thing. This is another Etowah, first time ever. Amazingly, Etowah at one time was a 6A school back when they first went to 6 classes. Now Etowah is down to a 3A school. Hopes Bluff back in 3A. Aniana back in 3A for the first time in a long time. Boy, that's an interesting region right there. I'm like you guys, Coach Smith, I'm trying to decipher all this here. But are you surprised that Etowah, for the first time in history, is in 3A?
No, because they were one of the middle to bottom of 4A last time, and as we're seeing, you're going to trim off about the bottom half of every class, and then with variables such as fluctuating enrollment, Not surprising at all that Etowah came in. I think you're probably going to see Cherokee County as a 3A school. I don't know that they're going to stay 4A. Maybe if they are, they're going to be at the bottom of 4A. But Etowah, Glencoe, and Oaks Bluff all in the same region. That's never happened before.
There's going to be some games. I'm trying to remember the last time Etowah and Glencoe have played each other. They have, but it's been a long time. And then you got Aniana in there. So, again, you're looking at some schools there. Etowah, Glencoe, Oaks Bluff, Aniana, all of those schools have won state championships. So that's from a tradition standpoint, that's a pretty stout region there. We're going to take another break when we come back. Before we take that break, let me tell you again about Danny Shears, Calhoun County Commissioner, all the great things he does for the folks here in Calhoun County. If you see him during the county tournament, which is going to begin on Monday at Pete Matthews Coliseum on the campus of Jacksonville State, and you'll see him there. He also brought back a great thing that's been a part of the county tournament for the last several years. Danny is bringing back legends. And he's bringing back legends this year. He's bringing back some folks that played in the very first Calhoun County basketball tournament back in 1951. Folks, that's 75 years ago. 75 years, and there are some of those guys that are still alive and kicking, and they're going to be at the Calhoun County tournament. He's got 4 of them, Danny tells me. And this idea to honor these past basketball legends, that was Danny Shears' idea. So when you're at the county tournament, thank him for that. Danny Shears, Calhoun County Commissioner, bringing you our AHSAA bracket reveal. It's not bracket reveal, but classification reveal here on after the game, presented by the folks here at High School Football Alabama. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, and we're going to dive into 4A, 5A, 6A, and the private schools next.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the F&M Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnm.bank. Member FDIC.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Judd Edwards for your personal price plan today.
Let me tell you about our friends at Farmers and Merchants Bank, bringing you our program today, our special edition of the reclassification for the AHSAA. Farmers and Merchants Bank has given away over $36,000 in scholarship money to schools just in Calhoun and Cherokee counties. And they have the debit cards, the Spirit cards, for all 20 schools in Calhoun and Cherokee counties. They got locations now in Center, they're in Piedmont, they're in Jacksonville, they're in Anniston, they're in Oxford. Farmers and Merchants Bank bringing you our show today, and they're going to be a big part of that Calhoun County basketball tournament again this year. As you go up to Pete Matthews Coliseum, they'll be a part of the big shootout that's going on up there. So check out the folks at Farmers and Merchants Bank. Back on High School Football Alabama's After the Game reclassification special show. We have been hit with a lot of stuff going on today. Let me explain one thing here. We are seeing this for the first time when you see it. And I think we've got a correction coming up to a 2A region that we're going to show you here. We had, because things are going crazy. Our man Charlie Hinkle is working like a mad dog over there trying to get all this kind of stuff into you. All right, so here's 2A Region 8. Let's look at this one. We didn't have this the first time. Actually, we did, but I think that was Tanner and Phil Campbell and those kind of folks. This is more of our local teams here. This is Brindley Mountain, Collinsville, Fife, Ider, North Sand Mountain, Pisgah, Sandrock, and Section. Now, technically in District 6, the only team there is Sandrock, and this is not a huge thing. Collinsville and Fife moving down from 3A to 2A, that's significant. Ider, I think, actually in there, North Sand Mountain, Pisgah, they were all in that region. Brindley Mountain's moving over into this region. section in Sandrock staying. So this is one of those coaches, regions that didn't change a whole lot. There's still some big changes in there with Collinsville and Fife moving in, Brindley Mountain moving over, but basically it's a lot of the same teams in this Class 2A region. Your thoughts on that? I think the big news is Collinsville and Fife moving back down to 2A.
And I think both of those schools, I know at least Fife, I talked to Coach Benefield, back after the season ended, and they thought their enrollment would probably bring them back down to 2A, excuse me, to 2A in the under the previous system. So not really surprised there. Collinsville coming down probably as a direct result of the trimming off the bottom of each class with just going 6 classes, and again removing the privates probably is what got Collinsville down to 3A.
And fans need to realize, don't panic here and say, man, are we losing that many kids out of our school? No, it's just that when we compressed everything, they probably wasn't 4 or 5 schools different, but they got moved on down because everybody else had to move down. Because fans will say, oh, we're losing people. We're losing them right and left. No, you're not really. It's just now you're in 2A because of the way the numbers.
Well, then John made a great point earlier when he said, be careful what you wish for. And you look at, I'm a 3A and below type person from all my experience. And in 3A, I'm sure when people said we're going to get rid of Bayside and Mars Hill because of competitive balance, and we're going to get rid of, with this private school split, whatever you want to call it, we're going to get rid of those private schools and don't have to worry about those anymore. Well, you also in 3A just got Hanley, you just got Jackson. You just got the 2As that are saying, we don't have to worry about Coosa Christian anymore because they're in the private division. Yeah, you just got Piedmont, Fife come back down. I mean, so, there's going to be a trickle-down effect on the smaller classes in particular because that's where the majority of those private schools were found. So by removing them and going to 6 classes, you're going to get some really, really strong public schools that are going to drop down a division.
Coach, 100% of what you just said there. And Coach Short and I talked about this a lot, that there were going to be some unintended consequences for this. Yeah, you got rid of this, but what are you going to get? It's not like that these teams are just going to magically disappear and you're going to be done with some great football teams. You're going to have some great programs moving down. And we have seen this in every one of these regions that we've looked at so far this morning. We've seen exactly that happen.
Yes, sir.
The screaming and hollering for years has been the private schools, can recruit. I now that I've joined the other sector, I'm retired. I can see it a whole lot different. I mean, you've moved in. You're in the private schools now, so you can see the differences. But I have to just tell everybody that when these schools are changing, not every private school is just going to go out and get anybody they want. Because their academic standards are so high. And yes, they do, to a lot of them have to move there. There may be 1 or 2 in Montgomery that they'll take anybody that don't matter. But the majority of them, like y'all, you just can't take anybody from 8 counties away to come move into Westbrook, and your academic standards are high also.
Well, and our draw at Westbrook is Rainbow City. A lot of people probably think Westbrook is a Gadsden zone. It's not. Coosa's in the Gadsden zone. We're in Rainbow City.
And they have to move there.
It's hard to move to Rainbow City. You could come to school there, but you have to sit a year for varsity athletics, if you can't move into Rainbow City. And
like everybody else does.
And it's the same rule as it applies, and there's a lot of systems out there now, I mean, when we were all in school, everybody went to school where you were zoned for. But there's a lot of school systems. I'd probably say 75 to 80% of the school systems in Alabama now have some form of open enrollment. And so the rules are basically the same, that you can go to one of those schools or you can go to a private school, but if you don't live in the zone, you got to sit a year for varsity. You can play sub-varsity, and that's a big thing that a lot of folks don't realize. And after you've been somewhere for a year, you've established your enrollment, then you don't matter where you come from after you've been there a year. But there's a lot of things going on out there that were probably unique to private schools 30 years ago, that there's a lot of school systems now that are able to do similar type things, or when you look at some of the things that's happening down on the coast, building facilities that would rival Division II or 1AA programs, So a lot of the things that are going on right now are not necessarily unique to private schools. And with this central board and the executive director making a bold decision like they made today, it wouldn't surprise me if in 2 or 4 more years we don't see some other drastic changes to level the playing field. So, it's going to be interesting how all that's going to work out.
Coach Harmon did mention this today, and he made a point of saying this. This is only good for 2 years. This might turn into a great thing and keep on, but it might turn into a disaster, and they change this and take this away, but for at least the next 2 years, it's going to be there. We got more regions to look at, more shockers coming our way.
There's the shockers.
4A Region 6, folks, look at here. Central Clay County, you got Leeds, Jacksonville, Lincoln, Moody, Sylacauga. Listen, folks, all of you get past Alexandria and Anniston. The next 6 schools all drop from 5A.
Yep.
The next 6, including Central Clay County, first time ever in school history that they've been in Class 4A. Then you've got Jacksonville dropping back down, Leeds dropping back down, Lincoln dropping back down. Your defending Class 5A state champion, Moody, is now in 4A and in this region. And then you throw Sylacauga in, and I'm 100% sure on this, 100, that this is Sylacauga's first time in 4A.
Well, and you look at that right there. It's an 8-team region, and unless I'm at 5 of those 8 have won a state championship in my lifetime. 5 of those 8 have won a state championship, I think, since 2000.
Yes.
So you're
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's 5 for sure.
5. Yeah.
So how would you like to be?
And I think Sylacauga's won one back in the day.
So I think 6 of the 8 have won a state championship, and 5 of the 8 probably in the last 25 years. So talking about an extremely strong region. Because I'm from Cherokee County, I'm from Center, so I would love to see where Center's going to fall and shake out in all this. I've not seen them in a 3A region yet, and I've not seen them in a 4A region yet.
Traditionally, when Clay County moves north, they've won one. When they go back and forward, but here, knowing how I am, John, you know this, and I know I'm nuts what I'm fixing to say. But the first thing when I looked at that, because I've already had it on my phone, but when I look at that group of teams right there, there's only one team on there that has natural grass. It has Central Clay. Everybody else has turf, or will have turf.
I had this conversation with, speaking of Alexandria, I had this conversation last night with Todd Ginn, head coach at Alexandria. We were talking about that there's going to be a generation coming that doesn't know what freshly smelled grass in the summertime and in the early season games is like. I want to focus on this region right here because the matchups that we're going to see for the first time ever.
Right.
Let's pop that back up again, if we can. We're going to see Anniston against Clay Central for the first time ever. We're going to see Central of Clay County and Jacksonville for the first time ever. That's Clint's. That's the Leeds. We got Leeds and Lincoln, Moody, Sylacauga. So we're going to see, and look at these teams here. Alexandria, playoff team last year. Anniston, state runner-up. Central of Clay County, deep playoff team. Jacksonville, deep playoff team. Leeds, playoff team. Moody, state champion in Class 5A there. I think 6 of these 8 were playoff teams last year.
Just looking at it in 4A Region 6, you could be 5th in that region, not make the playoffs, and probably be a second-round caliber playoff team minimum. Just looking at it right now, without knowing anything about who's got what coming back, who do you leave out of that? What 4 teams do you leave out that will not make the playoffs out of that region?
And they may, in their non-region games, have beaten somebody that makes it to the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, there were times, that I've seen regions have all 4 teams in the quarterfinals from the same region.
Yeah, well, you've been a part of that.
Yeah, so, that right there, that could be as strong of a region top to bottom as there is in the state of Alabama.
And let's look at this, too. Coach Short, you are every week down in Clay County. You're down in Ashland doing radio with those folks.
Yeah.
Those folks are thrilled for 2 reasons. They're thrilled, one, because they're in 4A for the first time. And they kind of, and also they're thrilled because for the first time in the history of Clay Central, they are playing local teams. Mm-hmm. So the Gates, and they're back in North Alabama too. This is Region 6, so they're back in North Alabama. So when playoffs come, they're in the north. They're not traveling. This year they had to go to Viger and play in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. No more of that. And look at the Gates there. Well, just from Clay Central's standpoint, Clay Central going, when they play Alexandria, when they play Anniston, when they play Jacksonville, Moody, Leeds, Lincoln, Sylacauga is already a little bit of a rival game for them. Right. There's great gates there, and they're not going to travel more than an hour to. They're not going to travel more than an hour to play anybody in the region.
Well, the past 2 years they've been having to find 5 games.
Right.
And that's terrible for Central. Cause you've been through that before.
Right.
I can't find them. So now at least they only have to find 3, as far as trying to search for ball games. Look, I've already got a text from them. They're fixed to have a party down there, a show. They're excited, and I can understand why for them, because in the playoffs, when you get in the South and you're on that line, you're on the I-20. I might as well call them the I-20 corridor, and you're going to Mobile back and forth over and over and over. Right. And a lot of times you're facing, and you would know this, you used to see it in state championship games. Man, there's a lot more athletes that I'm seeing right now than what I see every week in the playoffs. Now they're back to, well, just like I said, the last time they were in the North, they won it back-to-back 5A state championships.
Coach Smith, earlier when we were hanging around waiting for all this, I made the comment, you and I were talking about, this would be the biggest shakeup in football since we went to six classes from 4 in 1984. That was 42 years ago. Even more so than I thought. This is every region that comes up, there are, usually when we do this, and I've done this for about 4 or 5 different classification shows, and we are, we're sitting here and usually there's 1 or 2 surprises. Oh, wow. Every region that comes up, there's massive surprises here because of that private school out and condensing down to 6 classes.
And I know we're doing a reveal here for football, and they're doing all the fall sports right now, but the thing you got to realize is, without the private schools there, what you see right now, that's what class you're going to be in, and in some shape, form, or fashion, that's going to be your area for basketball, that's going to be your area for baseball. Go back, Piedmont, traditionally strong baseball program. Now, all of a sudden, starting next year, not this spring, but next spring, they're playing in 2A for baseball. I don't know that everybody has firmly grasped that yet, and then the people that might have been a nuisance to people on the side in the past, be it a private school or a school that didn't move down, now all of a sudden you're separating. I think about baseball type rivalries. Where's Gordo going to fall? Is Gordo going to also fall to 2, or is Gordo going to stay 3? I mean, there's a lot of things that's going to happen here in other sports as well, but you pretty much know who you're going to be in with based on what the football region is. If it's an area, you're probably going to be in there with half of those people.
Well, where you've been before, like Cleveland County is before, they would be in the South in football, but then in basketball and other sports, they'd be in the North.
Right.
And I've already got 3 texts from athletic directors saying, what's volleyball going to be? Do you know? I said, no, that'll be February 7th. So when they tell you that.
The other ones.
We've got all the regions now. We're going to put the pedal to the metal and put the gas to it now.
Right.
So here's Class 4A Region 8 here, and you're asking about your alma mater, Cherokee County. That is the exact opposite of what we've seen.
They got the short end of the stick as it comes to travel into gate money and all that. That is a very spread out region for Cherokee County.
I'm going to count here. We've got Morgan County, Cherokee County, DeKalb County, Coleman County, Marshall County, Blount County, Etowah County. So we're looking at what, 7 counties? Is that what I just? So you've got 8 schools spread into 7 counties. AP Brewer up at Floret in Morgan County, right outside Decatur. Cherokee County's in center. Crossville in DeKalb County. Fairview right out between Coleman and Arab over in Coleman County. Good Hope in Coleman County, but they're on the other side of Coleman. They're between Coleman and Jasper. Then you got Gunnersville sitting up there on the lake in Marshall County, Hayden in Blount County just north of Birmingham, and then you got Sardis right there in Etowah County on the Etowah and Marshall County line. That is, I don't know, Coach, I don't know if I've ever seen an 18 region and 7 different counties in an 18 region.
Oh, Bailey, just got the Cherokee County job. He starts filling out his bus forms here. He's going to be making some long trips because there's not a short one in that. I guess the shortest trip would be to Crossville or maybe to Sardis for Cherokee County.
He may have some long trips, but if I'm sitting there at Cherokee County.
If I'm in that region and I'm not in the one that was just up a minute ago.
Exactly right.
Put me in 4A Region 8 3 times before you put me in 6.
Here's something that, Cherokee County lost to Good Hope in the playoffs, so now they're going to be region opponents. And then you got, I look at tradition-rich programs in Cherokee County and Gunnersville. Right. That's about as tradition-rich as you get. And
don't sleep on Fairview. The success they've had the last few years.
Been very good, very good. And y'all notice who's in there? Who hasn't been in there in any football? The Crossville Lions.
Crossville. They've declared that they're going to have a varsity team, I guess.
Apparently they're going to have a varsity football team, and they're coming back. They've been out about 3 years now, I think.
Right. 3, some of them are looking for coaches like Sardis. They're looking for they haven't replaced him yet.
I have not heard that they've replaced Coach Brooks.
So there you go. There's your Cherokee County fans and your Sardis fans here in District 6. Here's 5A Region 6. Look who moved to 5A, folks. Clay Chalkville. You got Douglas, Oxford, Pell City, Pinson Valley, Southside back down into 5A, Springville and St. Clair County. Poor old Douglas. What did they do to deserve this? It is that region right there. You got your defending 6A state champion. And guys, most folks pretty much think that was the best football team in the state last year, regardless of class. Clay Chalkville, this is for the first time ever. They're moving to 5A. Oxford has not been 5A since when? 1990s? Since they've been 5A. Then you got Pell City in there with Jake Gaines coming over, dropping back down to, he moves from a 5A, thought he was moving to a 6A, he's going to stay at 5A. Pinson Valley dropping down. I think this is the first time Pinson Valley has been, at least in a long time, been 5A. Right. Southside moving back down, Springville, and then St. Clair County. So you've got, again, this is the, Coach Short, you were talking about the I-20 corridor, except for Douglas. And I know Clay Chalkville and Pinson Valley are not on I-20, but they're close enough.
It's straight line across.
This is pretty much an I-20 corridor with the exception of Douglas.
Yeah, I mean, Douglas. Bless their heart. I guess they'll start shooting free throws. I don't know. They'll be competitive.
Wow.
I mean, look, some people are looking. They go Clay Chalkville, Oxford, Pell City, Pinson Valley, and then they'll forget the other ones. But don't sleep on those three at the bottom.
St. Clair County really, the last couple of years,
it's really gotten better.
Really gotten better. And, things I thought I would never see. I never thought I would see the day where in football, Douglas would be in the same region with Oxford and Clay Chalkville.
Yeah, that's shocking. And again, I see regions pop up, and I start thinking about the omissions. Where's Gadsden City? Is this an indicator that Gadsden City is going to be in 6A?
That's what I'm wondering.
I mean, you see, so Gadsden City is the team I'm noticing right there that's omitted.
Here's the next region, and they're not, so they must be in 6A, Class 5A Region 8. That's Albertville, Arab, Boaz, Columbia, who has lost 100 games, Fort Payne, Lee of Huntsville, May Jemison, and Scottsboro. So this is kind of the north of us. There's really not any teams here in District 6. They're all, but we got a lot of teams that are just outside of District 6, like Albertville, Boaz, folks like that.
Backing off what Coach Short said a minute ago, I'm sure there's probably some people in Douglas that's wanting a geography check on
because they'd love to be in this region.
That region there, with Albertville and Arab and Boaz.
And they're right beside them.
That are all right there beside them. It's kind of puzzling. Had a little bit of a head scratcher how Douglas winds up in that other region and not with Albertville, Arab, and Boaz. But again.
And people that don't understand, because we're scratching our head, but there is a map. And they got little dots all over it, and they're probably like Cleveland County's been before. We're at that dot on that line, and they got moved over.
This is 6A Region 4. We were wondering about Gadsden City. And keep in mind, folks, if you're joining us late, just joining, there is no more 7A. No more 7A. So what they're saying is this is going to be the largest classification in the state. And they said the top 32, right?
Yeah,
so Gadsden City now is one of the top.
Numbers.
That kind of surprises me, to be honest with you, because Gadsden City was not in 7A. But now we've gone down to 6A, top 32 schools in the state, and their enrollment apparently has grown enough that they're now one of the top 32 teams in the state. That really does not change them a whole lot.
I think they'd be very happy, though, because there have been times they've been 7A before, and they went to Birmingham. I think if you had preference, you'd like rather go to the Huntsville area for your region than you would go into the Hoover area.
They got some 7As that used to be 7A. Bob Jones moving down. You got Huntsville High. You got James Clemens. Those kind of folks that are moving down from the old 7A to 6A.
They had to be close.
Close.
If we'd have stayed the same, they'd have been probably at the top of 6A.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be. I haven't seen the numbers yet. Those are going to be released later on today. I wouldn't be surprised if Gadsden City, maybe the smallest team in 6A.
I do think, though, as the classifications are revealed, I do think there's a lot of high-fiving going on at Gadsden City.
Yes.
If I'm going to be 6A, going to that region versus going to Birmingham.
Okay.
Gives you a lot better chance just to get in.
That's right.
All right. Now, we don't have the this is what Coach Smith has been waiting for.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here is private schools now. Private schools, Single A Region 3. This is Autauga Academy, Elwood Christian, Holy Spirit Catholic, Pickens Academy, Donahoe, Tuscaloosa Academy, and Victory. So this is two of our teams in Single A Region 3, two of our teams here in East Alabama, Donahoe here in Anniston, Victory Christian in Pell City. But look at that, Autauga Academy down in Prattville, Elwood Christian is over in Prattville, I believe. Yeah. Holy Spirit is in Tuscaloosa. Pickens Academy over in Carrollton, and then you've got Tuscaloosa Academy in Tuscaloosa. So for Donahoe fans, especially because they're the eastern end of this, and they're going to be going to Metro Montgomery and to Metro Tuscaloosa, basically, for most of their region games.
Wow.
That's an AHSAA schedule.
I
mean, well, you know what I'm saying, how far they have to travel.
Right.
2-3 of those teams, Elwood came directly into the association, and so did Holy Spirit. But Autauga Academy and Pickens Academy and Tuscaloosa Academy are all former AISA schools, and Donahoe and Victory came directly into the AI.
I'm gonna make a political
AHSAA.
statement here. You can laugh whatever you
be
want.
careful,
I'm gonna be
Coach.
careful.
All right.
But what I'm saying is that somebody better use some Choose Act money just to buy enough gas to get over there and back. You see what I'm saying?
That's a lot of travel for
I mean, that's a
Donahoe.
lot of money that some of these schools do not have.
Right.
Well, Coach, you know you're not playing in the same region with Donahoe and Victory. Let's go look at 1A now, private school Region 4, and there you are. And this is, there's Westbrook, there's Coosa Christian. That's the two teams from our part of the state here in District 6. Then you got Decatur Heritage, Lindsay Lane, who's going to start football. Mars Hill Bible, your defending 3A state champion, Shoals Christian and Whitesburg Christian. So again, this is, you got a team from, two teams from Etowah County, then you got Morgan County, Limestone County, Lauderdale County, Shoals Christians in Tuscumbia, so there's another county, that's Colbert County, and then Whitesburg Christian in Madison County. So again, how many different counties did I count off there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 teams, 6 different counties. Coach Smith, obviously that's your school here. Tell us what you think.
All right. That's what we got. Let's play. I mean, I don't really know what to say. I don't even know where some of those schools are. I know we're 3 miles up the road from Coosa, so that'll be an easy trip. Some of those others, where is Lindsay Lane?
That is in Athens.
In Athens. Okay, so going Athens, Huntsville, Shoals way.
Shoals.
I mean, it's just a lot of travel right there. And
if we can pop that back up again, that region right there. Coosa Christian is in Gadsden, Decatur Heritage in Decatur. Lindsay Lane is in Athens. Mars Hill Bible is in Florence. Shoals Christian is in Tuscumbia. Westbrook Christian in Rainbow City, and Whitesburg Christian is in Huntsville.
Yeah.
So you got trips in a 2-year period. You know you're going to Decatur, Huntsville, Athens, Florence, and Tuscumbia.
yeah.
Wow, and Huntsville was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to find 4
We got to find, what we got,
Ball
6
games.
games. We got to find 4 more games.
4 more games.
Yep.
Let me ask this, a question. And I know a lot of coaches have been trying to schedule now for middle of football season, start trying to schedule. And they got all these, because I know some of these guys are thinking, wow, I already had like 5 of them.
Yeah.
You know, now we got to almost start over. Were you close? I mean, in any kind of schedule, did you, I mean.
No, the delay killed us as far as scheduling. I mentioned earlier, just talking to you guys before we came on, I don't even have junior high games and middle school or JV games scheduled for people that had been reading the stuff in the paper about the possibility of not being able to play against private schools at all.
Yeah.
You know, we got a lot of work to do. When I leave here today, there's going to be a lot of work to do to try to make a schedule, and I've sent out a couple of texts, you know, to people that I'm close to said, hey, try to save us a spot, depending on what goes down. But you know, that's interesting.
And for the public schools, in their defense, with you, and you already know what I'm probably fixing to ask you, is they're wondering, if I play Westbrook or any of these schools, for tiebreaker points that I may need in that point in time, do I get points for beating a private school?
I would think
and if
that
they
you
don't,
would.
I would think they would.
I would think
if
since
they're
we're
doing
member
this.
schools,
I hope that's right.
I would think that we would. You know, they've always had that variation there. You can go up or down 2 classes.
2 classes. So
but here's the thing. I know I'm in that division, but what am I class-wise? I mean, who could play us? Am I 1A? Am I 2A? Am I what?
Yes.
I know I'm in the 1A private division, but
what does that count as?
What do I count as if somebody did want to play me?
That's right.
If a 5A school wanted to play, am I big enough for them to be able to count the points for
That's
beating
what I
us?
was wondering, because we don't know that.
Right. You know, that's going to be another interesting thing, another one of those unintended consequences that John was talking about that I don't think a lot of people have really thought about. You know, if I'm single A private, like I am, does that mean that anybody 4A or above
Can't play you.
can't play us to get any points? You know, I think there definitely has to be a distinguishing mark between the Faith Christians and the Donahoes that are small 1As anyway versus the private schools that might be 3A by numbers, but therefore, you know, because we haven't seen all of the privates yet. I mean, in South and Montgomery, does that mean that the 17 larger ones are all going to be from Montgomery, Huntsville, Birmingham, and Mobile? I mean, I'd love to see what the rest of them look like. I'd love to see I guess there's just going to be 4 regions in small private, right?
That's what it looks like.
Let's talk about a Faith Christian who doesn't have football.
Yeah.
And you're talking about travel again.
You add them in with Donahoe, I guess.
Or
JCA the same way. I mean, if you're playing basketball and baseball, I guess Faith and JCA would just jump in with Donahoe maybe and Victory.
And so are you in there with them? Are you in there with Faith and the other sports besides football? Is
Yeah,
Westbrook?
That's a great point.
Are you in with JCA and Donahoe and Victory and Coosa?
That's a great point.
You're the
things.
AD too, aren't you?
Yes.
And speaking, we want to make sure, because we have been moving very fast. This has been crazy, absolutely crazy. We'll make a couple of points in case to reiterate. One is these schools are not out of the athletic association. They are still in the athletic association, these private schools, but there will be 2 divisions in football. We don't know about basketball or any of these other sports. This is just football. They'll be in 2 different divisions, a Class 1A private school, a Class 2A private school. The 1 to 1.35 multiplier, that is gone. Now, no need for that because they're in their own division. Also, the competitive balance, that is gone because, again, private schools are now in their own division. Heath Harmon, Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, says that all these, as we've just been talking about here with Coach Smith, all the schools are eligible to play the private schools. So in the regular season, the private schools and the public schools can play each other in non-region play. It's when we get to the playoffs, and this is what everybody kind of thought was going to happen. In the playoffs, though, then they go their separate ways. Then the publics go to their own playoffs, and the privates go to their own playoffs. There was also, I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but there is going to be a private school committee, and there's going to be a private school director of championships. This is going to be someone, I believe he said, that's currently on the AHSAA staff that is going to be the private school director of championships. And one other thing, too, just because there's a separation, think of this as adding 2 different classifications in. All these players, and we'll get Coach Smith's reaction to this as well, he did mention that as far as like all-star teams, like the North-South All-Star team, the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star team, the Bryant Jordan Awards and things like that, the private schools will still be fully eligible as they have been in the past. So you got maybe an All-American kicker there at Westbrook coming back. He's still eligible to be in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, for instance. So I think that's good.
Well, it is good, and like I said, I don't think anybody really, if you really got down to it and looked at it from an objective point of view, not just, the big thing with all the split and the stuff that you've been hearing, the rumors we've been hearing for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and basically anybody's opinion out there, most people are going to be looking at it from the lens of what's best for us. That's the way most people look at it, and, you're having to make decisions that's best for everybody. The kids that have been in the association, I never for one moment thought they were going to, quote, kick us out. I did think that the possibility of something like this could happen, but kicking them out of the association, I mean, you're not just going to take 55 schools and just boot them and say, y'all go figure it out on your own. I figured there would be a way to accommodate private schools if there was a split, and I'm kind of like you. I mean, I know they're saying it's a restructuring, but it's a split. It's what it really is. You can call it what you want, but it's a split. And, but having the kids to still have the opportunities to be in all those things, is the right thing to do. I mean, those kids have worked hard just to be a part of the teams that they're on and be a part of the association. So, having them in the running for the Bryant Jordan and the All-Star games and all that, I mean, that in my opinion, that's a no-brainer.
Before we go to break here, we're going to go to break, and then we're going to do something really unique and different here. That we're going to go through all the classifications again, all the new regions one more time, because let it kind of things settle down a little bit. It's like you cook a steak on the grill and then you got to let it rest for a little. We're going to let it rest for a couple of moments, and then we're going to come back and go through all of those at one time. But Coach, let me ask you, going the other direction, you mentioned that they were not going to kick out any of the private schools. In your opinion, do you think there are any private schools out there who may say, nah, we're really not in with that. We're going to join the AHSAA, or we're going to go join a Christian school league or something like that? You think there's any schools that may themselves choose to drop out?
I'll be very surprised if what we see today is what it is when the fall gets here.
Wow.
I think that you may have some of the smaller private schools that struggle to field a team anyway, and then they look at where they're placed and the travel they're going to have, and they're just going to say it's not financially feasible. You're looking at you're looking at those opportunities, and you know, I don't want to start speculating on who those people might be.
Right.
But there's a lot of those schools that are going to be making a lot of long road trips just for their region games. They may be able to find 4. I think it looks like there's 17 regions, so finding 4 non-region games, they may be able to find some local public schools that would be accommodating, you know, to be able to have some shorter trips and make a little bit of money. But would not surprise me, though, if there's a smaller private school or two that we've seen in this split that may just say, hey, we're going to put football on the back burner for a couple of years and see what happens in the next reclassification period, just because of the expenses that are going to be involved.
That's what I think will happen. He left that open. This is not permanent.
Right.
And he'll do it for 2 years, because at the end of the day, the AHSAA has to protect itself, has to stick together, because in the end of the day, it's about these kids.
Right.
All kids, public, private, it don't matter. That's who it's about. It's not about you and me and all the fans are screaming and hollering, or some of them are clapping right now. It's about those kids, and those kids in the private schools deserve just as good a chance to go compete for a championship as a public school kid does.
Well, and there's a lot of these, you know, a lot of people talking about the founding members of the AHSAA. UMS Ride has been a part of the AHSAA since inception, all 104 years. I mean, did anybody really think the AHSAA was going to come in and kick UMS Ride out, you know, as a charter member?
Not when that guy was talking earlier today.
Well, and the other thing that you got to remember here is, probably with this smaller private division, there's going to be teams that have basketball teams, baseball teams, volleyball teams, softball teams that don't play football.
That's right.
So football is probably going to be one of the smaller participation numbers in that small group. Then you bring in some things maybe like track and field or golf or something, tennis. Now that they may only have 1 championship in those events, because I don't know that there's enough in this small private division. I mean, what are you going to crown a champion in tennis if there's only 9 of these smaller private schools that play tennis? Or I'm just saying, it's going to be interesting to see when the other sports stuff comes out, because football is already there's going to be fewer playing teams in football than say there is in basketball, fewer than there are in baseball. But then there's going to be some sports like flag football. Are you going to have a small private champion in flag football and only 5 people have a team? I mean, that's going to be interesting to see how they do all those things as well.
That waters that championship down.
It does. It does.
We will take a break. When we come back, we're going to run through every one of the regions, just kind of a laundry list. We've taken breaks. We've had a lot of commentary in there, kind of analyzing things. So all in one place, all at one time. We're going to come back here on our big screen behind us, and we're going to show you all the regions here in District 6 in the state of Alabama, all the new regions, and show you all these massive surprises that we had today. As high school football Alabama's After the Game, our reclassification special rolls on this Friday afternoon.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the F&M Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnm.bank. Member FDIC.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Judd Edwards for your personal price plan today.
Judd Edwards State Farm Insurance, protecting you from what matters most. They are here in our community, for our community, delivering great service and real hometown relationships. Got a brand new office. He would love for you to drop by and see them right there in Heflin. Been over there. Great facility, investing in the community in Heflin and investing in sports here in East Alabama. They have been doing this, supporting your family and your schools since 2020. Give them a call, 256-463-2260, insurewhatcounts.com. Judd Edwards, again, another one of those guys that was here with us with the Calhoun County Basketball Tournament, FCA kickoff banquet, out there serving chicken fingers and so forth to the young people, and he is invested in this community and making this show possible here on Friday. Jon Holder back with you on high school football, Alabama's after the game. This is our AHSAA reclassification special, and it has been a monumental day for high school football here in the state of Alabama. Joined by head coach Michael Short, retired head coach of Cleveland County Tigers for 20 years, great expert on high school football, and of course the current head coach of the Westbrook Christian Warriors, another legendary coach in Alabama high school football, Coach Steve Smith. So what we're going to do here, folks, we promised you before the break, we're going to take you through all of the regions here without a break, one after the other. So let's go down to Class 1A, and we're going to begin Class 1A, Region 6. Here it is, folks. Alabama Aerospace and Aviation, Fayetteville, Lochapoka, Notasulga, Wadley, Winterboro, and Woodland. 4 of these schools, guys, are from right here in District 6.
Does anybody really know where that's from? The aviation school?
We're going to find out. Now, let's go and look at Class 1A continuing now. Again, the private schools, we want to say this if you're just joining us, the private schools are in their own divisions. We're going to show you those divisions coming up. So if you're going through 1A and you're saying, well, where's Donahoe? Where's Victory? Where are they? They're not going to be in the typical Class 1A, Region 6, Region 8. They're going to be in their own division. Here's Region 8, Appalachian, Cedar Bluff, moving from 2A to 1A, Galesville, Ragland, Spring Garden, Valley Head, and Woodville. Guys, really the only change here, as we talked about, is Cedar Bluff moving back down from 2A to 1A. Right. Coach Smith, longtime coach at Cedar Bluff, I think you would agree that's where they need to be.
And I think that my 11 years at Cedar Bluff, I think I was in a region with every one of those teams at some time or another. I think Cedar Bluff has been in a region with all of them, and I think that's a very competitive region, not a lot of travel, and I think that'll be good for that entire region.
They may be clapping today.
Oh, yeah.
I think the aviation school is Bessemer. Bessemer.
Okay, Bessemer.
All right, Bessemer. Now, let's jump to Class 2A now. 2A Region 4, again, the big change here is you've got some schools moving down, and this is going to be the theme, folks. I'm just going to tell you if you're just joining us, this is going to be the theme, schools moving down, because we only have 6 classes, no more 7A, which means we're condensing down, taking out private schools, and then we're taking out a whole classification, and we're only putting 32 teams in the top in Class 6A, so that means a lot of schools are being squeezed down. And here's some of those schools, like Dadeville, like Randolph County, that are going to be moving down. This is a really tough region, guys. I think from top to bottom, you start looking at B.B. Comer's been down, but not too long ago they were very good. Dadeville, always great athletes. Central Coosa was better this year than they have been. Horseshoe Bend's been a little down. Lynette was your 2A runner-up. Ranburn, Randolph County moving from 3A. Reeltown, always a powerhouse in 2A. That's a tough region.
Yeah, and I talked to Coach Prestridge, I guess, right before Christmas, and he thought that they would be on borderline, dropping to 2, staying 3. Probably glad because he was in that southern region that had a lot of the schools down around the Auburn area. But glad to drop down to 2A, but then you also pick up Reeltown, Lynette, and that's going to be a really strong, competitive 2A Region 4.
It didn't really change for him. I know he did move to 2A, but as far as toughness of the schedule, it hadn't changed.
Right.
Yeah, he just switched out like Lee Scott and Glenwood and picked up folks like Reeltown and Lynette.
Right.
Is
yeah,
what
he
he did
swapped
there.
out them and just picked up people that are faster.
All right, Class 3A now. Let's jump into, we're still trying to wrap our minds around this. Class 2A Region 6. This is, with the exception of Vincent, this is all Etowah and Calhoun counties here. So you got Gaston, Ohatchee, Piedmont. Yes, Piedmont. Let me emphasize this. Piedmont 2A. Now they've been 2A before. When you first came to Piedmont,
first 2 years,
2006,
6 and 7.
They were 2A, but not since then. Pleasant Valley. This was they got shifted, and that's good for them because they were going to North Sand Mountain and they were going to Pisgah and all those places. So they're now with a lot of local teams. You got Sachs for the first time ever in school history. Sachs at one time was a 5A school 30 years ago. Now they're a 2A for the first time. Walter Welborn, they've been 2A before, but they're down to 2A again, and the West End Patriots in 2A as well.
I saw some film on Sachs, and you would know they're going to be a whole lot better than what people think. I think this is good for them.
They're very young this past year. You know, Coach Felder's first year, when we played them week 2, I think they dressed 17, 18 players, and a lot of them were 8th and 9th graders.
Yeah.
But Sachs has always had a lot of great athletes, and they obviously got some really good young talent coming. So if not 26, I think 27, you're going to see Sachs back to where you remember Sachs being. And I'll tell you another team that I saw middle school and in youth league 5th and 6th grade. AHSAA. Coach Jennings and AHSAA, they may still be a year away in 26, but I made the comment to Blake Jennings, if everything would have stayed status quo, knowing they were going to fall to 2A by enrollment, that the 27 AHSAA team has a chance to be back up there with that 15, 16 years that they had. They got some really good players coming at AHSAA in the younger levels, and you know, I think that region's going to be a lot more competitive, maybe in 27 than it is in 26, just because of some of the youth that some of those other teams have coming. I mean, I think Piedmont's still the class of that region, and until somebody knocks them off, they're going to be the team to beat in that one. But I do think that both AHSAA and Sachs have got bright futures, just from what I've seen.
Just from a fan standpoint, Coach, I have to say with the private school split here, one of the things we're losing over the next 2 years is we're going to lose the Piedmont-Westbrook game.
Maybe not.
And maybe not. Maybe not. But as far as back for a region title and things like that. So that's, and good travel here, good gates here, because, you know, Gaston, local, AHSAA local, really the only kind of outliers, and it's not an outlier for Gaston, but maybe for the rest of the teams in Calhoun County, is West End and of course Vincent. But you got a lot of good rival games here: Welborn, Sachs, Pleasant Valley, Piedmont, AHSAA. All those schools in Calhoun County, so you got keeping a lot of the good Calhoun County rivalries here. Right. Let's go and jump now to our next classification, or next region we're going to look at, 2A Region 8. That's at the Sandrock Wildcats in it. Not a lot of big changes here. The two big things, Brindley Mountain coming in, and then Collinsville and Fife moving from 3A down to 2A, which we kind of sort of expected that anyway, without all that. But North Sand Mountain had a really good team last year. Pisgah's been a powerhouse. Pisgah and Fife have been playing each other anyway, but Collinsville is going to be really good.
Collinsville, that group that Collinsville's been playing with for the last couple of years, they'll be seniors in the fall, and there's a lot of kids on those the Collinsville team that, when I was at Cedar Bluff, I coached against their dads, and it's a really good group coming through Collinsville. You know, just on surface right here from what you see, I mean, I think it probably Collinsville Fife, whatever week they play, will probably go a long way to determine that region champion. You know, I think that's going to be a heck of a matchup.
Don't sleep on Sandrock. We saw them play with young kids and a quarterback that can spin it.
Yep.
They're going to be a lot better than what people think.
They are. They're going to be, I think, a team to watch in the future here in this Class 2A Region 8. Let's jump ahead now to our next classification, 3A Region 4, and here's your shockers. I think we had two regions that really just chunked full of shockers. This was one of them. Yeah. Cleburne County, first time ever in history in 3A.
I don't even know how to say that number.
Talladega, first time ever going to 3A. White Plains moving down from 4A to 3A. Hanley and Munford moving down from 4A to 3A. Asheville moving down from 4A to 3A. This is if you looked at the look on our faces when this region came up, we were all pretty surprised by some of this right here.
Weaver's the team right here that was kind of the odd man out, I guess, as you're looking at the Calhoun County schools and all of them that fell to 2A. I guess Weaver was the largest of the bunch, and they've got to be one of the smaller 3As, because I know they were not very much larger than the other Calhoun County schools that dropped to 2A. So, you know, Weaver's going to inherit a bunch of 4A schools that's dropping down. It's a 4A region from last year plus Weaver.
That's going to be a completely competitive top-to-bottom region right there. Weaver did catch a break, I think, with the way things turned out. If it had stayed in a normal classification, the word was that maybe Sachs and AHSAA and Welborn were going to move to 2A anyway.
Right.
And they were going to be out here on an island, and they could have been way south like they were a couple of years ago, playing teams maybe in Montgomery, places like that. So from that standpoint, they caught a break there because they're getting a lot of local games in here with a lot of local teams.
Well, what it is it's local teams in the South. They're kind of going together. I was a part of that the first time it ever happened. At one time, Cherokee County was in the South, going with Cleburne County and Anniston and Alexandria.
In a home playoff.
And we all went south.
And then one year they went to Mobile Christian for a first-round game.
Yes.
I mean, it was crazy.
It's happened before, but I know that Cleburne County was trying to find schedules like everybody else was, and today some of the questions may have been answered. They said, man, this team wouldn't play us, but now they got to play us because they're in our region with us. So
you think, Coach, you're a Heflin guy, you think this is good news for Cleburne County?
Yes. First of all, because of travel. Okay. Because the schools that they were playing did not bring, on the average, the schools they were playing from the south brought 27 people. Get that, 27 people. No bands, no cheerleaders. Most of them just brought 27 people, and a lot of them may have been the bus drivers.
And now you got Munford,
We got-
Weaver, White Plains. Good to see that we're going to, this I think is the budding rivalry here, is Cleveland County and White Plains. That's going to be a big rivalry as we go through. And now that they're not, now it's not just that they're playing each other, now they're in the same region with each other,
That's
so
right.
they're
It
competing
counts
for
more.
playoffs.
And also we used to open up with Weaver for years. That was just a game we opened up with. So that's back. And a sleeper game that I thought was always going to be good is that one right there. Childersburg and us for a long time back in the day, in the early 2000s, we had some great games with each other.
And your man
yeah.
Mark Sanders
Yep.
there doing some great
Great job
things in
last year.
Asheville. Don't forget about them in this region either.
And we have a commitment with them, so we do have one non-region game with Asheville. We're
Awesome.
going to play week 1, so
There you go, folks.
think-
Westbrook Christian, Asheville, week 1.
I think a lot of Coach Sanders. You won't find a better man out there in this
That's
profession than Mark Sanders, and the job he did at Asheville last year, the turnaround that first year, and the enthusiasm and that he's created in that community. They're back on fire for Asheville football, and somebody was telling me yesterday about a new weight
Bled
room
in-
that they got.
They are, and it's bled over into basketball.
And like I said, Asheville is kind of a sleeping giant. We can all remember when we were in school when Asheville was really good. I don't think
Reagan Clark, Rush Probst,
that coaching
Bill
tree go
Clark,
up through Asheville,
John
right?
Gross.
John Gross.
Yeah.
Kevin Moore is probably one happy camper right now.
I think Asheville. The only thing that I would say about that region, I don't know that anybody is going to be happy to see Hanley in it.
That's right.
As far as the region goes, Hanley, I saw them on film last year. We played Mumford last year. Know a little bit about Asheville, Coach Sanders. Played Weaver last year. I think it's going to be a very competitive region. I know Cleveland County is really improving, and they're getting better, and they got some really good, talented young players. I think everybody in that region is going to be, Hanley's going to be the team to beat. If you did a coach's poll, I think everybody would say Hanley's
Weaver's
the team to
got a
beat.
brand new coach, first-year coach. Munford is going to have a coach. We don't know who that's going to be.
Coach has done a good job at Talladega too.
Right.
Coach Dorsey. He
Right.
has done a great job with them.
Let's move northward now. Our next region, we're going to take a look at Class 3A Region 6. And this is basically 3 Etowah County teams, and then you go west over into Blount and Coleman County. You got Hansville, you got Holly Pond, you got Aniana, Susan Moore, Vinemont. All of those are Blount and Coleman County teams. And then the 3 Etowah County teams. So you're back to Glencoe and Hoax Bluff being a region game now. And now you got Etowah in there. Again, for the first time ever since we've been in 6 classes, Etowah is going to be Class 3A. When they first started off, we go back to the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, Etowah was a 6A school. And then they were at 5A for many, many years, really recently that they even dropped to 4A, and now they're in 3A for the first time ever. So that's
Haven't
the
they
region
played
there.
Etowah and Glencoe
I
around
know
13
they
or
played
14?
I know they played a jamboree. I remember going and watching when Coach Osment was at Glencoe. I remember going to Etowah
We'll
and
look
watching
it
them play. I think it was a jamboree, but I could be wrong on that.
But see, the reason they haven't played very much in recent times is because what we talked about. Glencoe's always been there in 3A, and Etowah was a 5A, 6A
And they
school.
couldn't play down because they couldn't get anything
Yeah,
out of it.
right.
For a long time there. Plus, Etowah had those great teams.
Yes.
You know, Todrick Malone's and Cadillac Williams and all those folks. All right, let's go now and look at our next region as we continue to go through all these new regions. Class 4A Region 6, and here's another one. Central Clay County. They're happy down there because they're dropping to 4. They're going to the north, and they got a lot of local teams. I don't think that the folks down in Ashland and Wineville and Millerville and Mella Valley and all those places could have asked for any. This is like a dream come true for them, Coach,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because they're going to the north, they're going to 4A for the first time ever, and they're playing teams within driving distance with great games and a chance to develop some big rivalries here.
If I'm any of these teams here, all the way up there, you'll be glad when they come to your place because they will fill the stadium. Central Clay people, it don't matter where they're playing. We mentioned about having to go to Mobile. If they went to Mobile, they had more people than anybody else. So they will bring great crowds with them.
And they also, instead of a Marbury or an Elmore County coming to town, now you got Alexandria coming to
That's
town,
right.
and Jacksonville coming to town, and Moody coming to town, and those will bring great crowds to Clay Central as well.
Yes, and for our viewing area, people will say, Anniston don't bring people. You have not been
yes,
to an
they
Anniston
do.
game the past 2 years. They will bring crowds. When they went, they rivaled when we went to Plainview and watched
yeah.
that game. They had as many people there. Well, half of them were out there on the field with us, but they had a large crowd. 2 years ago, Alexandria and Central Clay played in non-region games, great ball games. We were there. We covered them. So those are they really wanted to play Alexandria, not because they thought they could beat them, because they thought this will be a great rivalry. If this goes beyond 2 years, these are going to turn into some great rivalry games.
Everybody wanted to see this matchup this year, Central Clay and Moody.
Yes.
Now you're gonna
Now
get it. Now it's going to count. And Anniston, just to see how they match up with Clay Central, that's going to be huge. Anniston and Moody as well. Yeah. Let's go now to another region. That's Class 4A Region 8, and the only team, there are 2 teams in District 6, Sardis, Cherokee County in this region. This is the region that we talked about, that there's 8 teams in this region, 7 different counties. Lots of traveling for our friends from Center and Sardis, but especially, again, you know, Sardis is kind of in the middle of all this, but Cherokee County's out here on the eastern outpost.
Right.
So every game they go to is going to be some travel, except maybe to Crossville. That's probably the Crossville and Sardis, but other than that, they got their traveling shoes on.
Your fans better start checking out where they're going to eat before the ball games, because you got Gunnersville, a good place. You got Bama Bucks at Sardis. I mean, there's some great places to eat here.
There you go.
Had to look at something different.
This is the Coach Short has proclaimed this the eating region here, Class 4A
But
Region 8.
people have to look at that. Your fans. Do I leave at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? That other region we was talking about, they can leave at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Your average working
Tony State
people.
Barn here in Center.
Yeah, but the average person, when they leave to go to a game, they may have to take off work early to get to some of these games because they're so far away.
Well, let's jump ahead now. Let's talk about Class 5A Region 6. And
Woo.
Wow. Things I thought I would never see is a region in Clay, Chalkville, Douglas, Oxford. That was not the old saying, that was not on my bingo card of all the things I thought I was going to see today. I didn't think I'd see that. And check this out. Clay, Chalkville, first time ever in 5A. Pinson Valley, 5A. Southside moving back down to 5A. Oxford has not been 5A since probably, what, early 90s? Early 90s, back when they when Coach Herring was here, I guess. So there we go. That's a
tough. I mean, to me, that's going to be a very competitive region. I can almost start picking out who I think will be, who would be one. Some of the bigger games you're going to play. Look, now they're getting to play some people that's kind of backed off of ever playing them. So for them, they may have some budding rivalries. They used to be a rivalry, Oxford and Southside. They played. They were in the same region together for a while.
And you talk about good gates here. Pell City. I was at the Pell City Oxford game this year. Yes. And that was standing room only.
Yes.
With Jake Gaines coming over and what they're going to do with that program there, that is going to be electric, these 2 teams. But then you start talking about adding Southside, who, regardless of what the record is, Southside always has great crowds. There's going to be a lot of good money games here as well. By the way, I'll go ahead and tell folks, Shannon Felder, head coach of the Sacs Wildcats. We've been talking about Sacs. He's on his way. He'll be here live with us on the set coming up in just a couple of moments. So we'll get that reaction from Coach Felder about Sacs and moving to 2A. Let's also now take a look at our next region, which is 5A Region 8. Again, not any teams from this district in District 6, but teams close by like Albertville and Boaz and folks like that. This is not a lot of big changes here. This is a very competitive region. You take maybe Fort Payne and Scottsboro, battle of the top cat when that'll be a region game. I think they're probably the top 2 in this region if you look at it. And then you've got a lot of competitive games there. You've got some teams that have not been very successful in the last few years, like Albertville, like Columbia, like Lee of Huntsville, that now have a chance to maybe win some football games in this region, in 5A Region 8.
May have a chance to get in the playoffs. Some of those teams that haven't, they say we might can get in because all you want to do is get in because you never know what may happen when you get in. But I do know this: I always keep an eye on them if you ever want to watch some of the best kickers in the country because Fort Payne will have one.
Yes.
Besides yours, they've always got kickers.
They've always got one.
Got one now.
But Douglas is probably wondering, why are we not here in parentheses?
That's what we said earlier.
Yeah, I mean, why are we not here? Because they're right there beside them, 5 miles apart.
They tell me that Scottsboro is the second smallest 5A school. That's one of the little tidbits that we're getting here.
Second smallest 5A. So Scottsboro is almost 4.
Almost 4A then.
Douglas is the third. Scottsboro is second. Douglas the third smallest 5A, in case you were wondering on that. All right, now let's go jump ahead to 6A Region 4. This will be our last public school. Now we're going to get to the private school regions here in just a second. This is our last public school region, and the one school we're focusing here on, Gadsden City. They were already in there. We know Buckhorn and Hazel Green and Sparkman, but you got some teams moving down, like James Clemens, like Huntsville, like Bob Jones, into that region. But again, you know, the travel for Gadsden City is always going to be. You're either going to go to Birmingham or you're going to go to Huntsville. Coach Smith, you made a good point there.
I'd rather go to Huntsville for competition if I was Gadsden City.
Absolutely.
That Birmingham 7A region and now Birmingham 6A region has always been considered the SEC.
Yes.
The thing I think we need to understand here, though, and this is going to be something I guess that there's just 4 regions in 6A. Are they going to keep the 7A format of the rotational stuff like they did? You know, there's a lot of complaining in 7A about the same people crossing over every year and eliminating each other. So last year they went to a 3-year rotation of rotating who you cross with. Is that going to be something they revisit because of the travel? Because I heard nothing but negatives from the Huntsville teams and the Mobile teams that had to pass each other on the way to a first-round playoff matchup. I heard one school told me they spent over $25,000 to take their 7A team from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state.
I think there was that Florence. I think it was.
I think it was.
Florence went to Baker in the
Yeah.
first round.
So you're talking about charter buses. Those are not cheap. You're talking about overnight stay. You're talking about meals. You're talking about taking the band, cheerleader. I mean,
it was unintended consequences that came for what they did, because they were trying to. I guess they got what they wanted. They got the semifinal matchup. Probably was the state championship game in 7A. It was.
Right.
I guess they got what they wanted. They didn't want them to play for the finals because that's what it has always
If
been.
we had known today, guys, what we were going to see, I would have made a subtitle of after the game reclassification special, unintended consequences.
Right.
Oh, yes.
That would have been our
Yes.
subtitle of the show today, is unintended, because we keep using that term a lot, and it's true. Let's go. Speaking of unintended consequences, here's the private schools now. We got, for folks that are just joining us, tuning in, we are now have all the private schools split away, separated, whatever term you want to use, restructured into 2 classifications. So we're losing 7A, no more 7A, but we're gaining a 1A private school and a 2A private school. Here's the 1A private school. They call this single A. That's a Georgia term. I don't like that. I'm going to call it 1A. Private school 1A. And we've got in that region Donahoe and Victory Christian. And you talk about traveling, and Coach Smith talked about this earlier at the very beginning. I don't know if you caught that, about the travel potentially, before we knew this, that some of the private schools potentially could have, because there being so few of those. And here it is, Pell City and Anniston, and you're going to Tuscaloosa, you're going over to Carrollton, you're going back to Tuscaloosa, you're going down to Prattville. There's some long road trips for schools that all these private schools are not swimming in money.
No.
As a lot of folks think they're all just swimming in money. That's certainly not the case.
Well, you know, the average public school persons think, well, they just go jump on their bus and their little cheese wagon and take off over there. No, not going to happen. You see that little bus that sits over there in Donahoe's parking lot, that little bitty bus? That's not what they're going to drop. They're going to have to get chartered buses. They got to pay, like, as you mentioned a while ago, some of the northern teams, and those were 6A and 7A schools.
Right.
It's got plenty of money. $25,000 to make those trips. I mean, Tuscaloosa is not close to Donahoe. Not even close at all.
2 hours. 2 hours. And Westbrook Christian, our guest today. Appreciate Coach Smith being here. This is his school, Westbrook Christian. They are going to remain in single A private school. They will be in Region 4. We really don't know what all this looks like at this point in time, but we do know that they are going to be in with defending Class 3A state champion Mars Hill Bible out of Florence. That is a region game. They're going to be in with the defending 2A state champion Coosa Christian Conquers, 2 miles down Black Creek Parkway, Steel Station Road.
Right.
And then you've got Decatur Heritage, Lindsay Lane Christian out of Athens. This is obviously in Decatur. That's in Tuscumbia Shoals Christian, Whitesburg Christian in Huntsville. You're in with the defending 2A and defending 3A state champions, Coach. Your thoughts on this region?
Excited about the opportunity, man. Excited about the teams that we're going to be playing. You know, we don't have much of a history with any of those people, probably outside of Coosa Christian. So we're going to be playing a lot of new folks, going to a lot of new places, seeing a lot of new stadiums and schools over the 2-year window. You know, but it's like I told you earlier, before the show ever came on, before the reveal came on, had all these different ideas of what was going to happen and who was going to go where and what they were going to do with them. I said, you know, end of the day, we watch the show like everybody else. They put you in a region, let's line up and play the games. I mean, that's the way it works, and it's the way it's always worked. And tons of surprises today. I will say I did not hear anything on all the rumors from the people that were supposedly in the know that we were going to have 2 private divisions. It makes sense, but it was not anything because I think just a small number of private schools. But, you know, looking at this region, a ton of travel, getting on the charter bus a lot and having to come up with the money to be able to take those long road trips. And, you know, but we're going to be excited about just playing whoever we're playing, and glad that we've got a 6-game schedule made. Still trying to, I've been texting right here as we've been talking, when you've been talking, I've got about 45 texts, you know, but trying
You're
to
seeing schedule making in real life right here.
I'm trying to find 4 non-region games, you know. You're trying to find 1, 5, 10 and either 0 or you know, in the 17 region, what a lot of people don't understand is you've got 1, 5, and 10 off, 0 if you want to be off to schedule games, but you're also going to have an oddball week. We'll have to get together as a region. We'll draw it out of a hat. You know, you're going to have 0, 1, 5, and 10 like a normal 8-team region has, but you're going to have another week because in a 7-team region, every week of the region schedule, somebody's not going to be playing somebody because they're the oddball. And so you're going to have to find another game there. Could be week 3, could be week 7, could be week 8 that everybody else in your region's playing. So, you know, that's why it's so important that we have these region meetings as quick as possible so we can draw up the region schedule. And then if you draw out the oddball week of 7, you got to try to find somebody else in the state that's off week 7. Now, it does look like there's going to be more options because I saw very few 8-team regions.
Yes, that's what I was
public or private, you know. Looks like both the private regions in the north and the single A private are 7-teamers. So there'll be somebody in that Donahoe Victory region that'll be off the same week that we are. You know, automatically, you know, you'd like to say, well, why don't you 2 regions get together and whatever oddball week you get, y'all agree to play. Well, that's going to be fine and dandy until somebody draws Morris Hill. And they'll say, you know, I may look somewhere else for that as far as a non-region game, you know. But, you know, got a lot of respect for those people in our region. You know, look forward to having some good opportunities to have some great games.
You have, when you were at Piedmont, you were in that region where it was almost like the SEC, people would say.
Right.
There are some very good football teams in this region you're in right now. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of what you were in. Maybe not all of them, but your top 3 or 4 teams in there are going to be very good competitive football games, as good as anybody in the state, public or private.
Well, and Jerry Adcock taking over at Whitesburg Christian, it's just a matter of time before Whitesburg Christian is a powerhouse in the state of Alabama, you know, and they're going to get better and better. Right there where they're at, I think they overlap with the Huntsville High School Zone. And so Whitesburg Road running right there, they're going to have a lot of people to pick from. They're going to have a lot of players to pick from, a lot of kids that could go to school in that district. You know, he's going to do a great job there. And
I know you have in the past. I kind of used to always watch how you schedule and what you like to have. Like 1 through 10, I like to keep going and keep playing.
No off weeks.
Will that happen?
I hope.
Do you think you can fix that?
I hope.
You can,
we got a 1.
You got a 1.
And I think I got a commitment on a 5.
Okay.
So there's 1 5, and got a couple of feelers out on a 10, and then whatever the oddball week is. But we would love to play a jamboree week 0 and then play 10 straight weeks. I'm not a fan of a bye week. I don't believe in resting up or healing up or rest in the middle of the year. I'm a routine person. My wife would probably tell you I'm probably as much in a routine as anybody I know.
That's right.
And so I like to get the players on a routine, and let's go play ball on Friday nights.
You're watching folks here live and in person, high school football scheduling taking place right here on this stage happening. Coach, before we go to break, we're going to go to a break. Before we go to break, I do want to ask you about one particular game because I'm excited about this. I'm excited about Coosa Christian and Westbrook Christian.
Right.
2 miles apart.
Right.
Ultra successful programs. This could very quickly, immediately, they've played in the past, been a while, but this could very quickly develop into a huge high school football rivalry, I think.
And the job they've done the last few years at Coosa Christian, 2A state champions this past year, Coach Probst, and the job that he did with that team and the situation that was surrounding them, nothing but respect for what he was able to accomplish and their school was able to accomplish last year. And we're 2 miles down the road. That'll be one that we don't have to worry about leaving before school gets out for sure. Excited about that opportunity.
Y'all make it walk.
Yeah,
Not even have to worry about a bus.
we could.
That'll be a great high school football atmosphere, whatever week it is, when Westbrook and Coosa play each other. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back. Don't forget, we got Shannon Felder, head coach of the Sacs Wildcats. He's on the way, and we're going to dive into some more information for you and get you set as we are rolling into 2026 and 2027 with high school football. It has been an amazing morning here in East Alabama. We'll be back after the break.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the F&M Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnm.bank. Member FDIC.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Judd Edwards for your personal price plan today.
Ellsworth.
Calhoun County Commissioner Danny Shear is one of our sponsors, making this show very possible for you here today. And we've been talking about just all the great things that Danny Shears does for Calhoun County and really the surrounding area. You see him out at a high school basketball game like the county tournament next week, football games on Friday night. You just make sure to tell him how much you appreciate what he has done. A longtime volunteer with the local Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He's the District 2 County Commissioner in Calhoun County, so he includes East Oxford, East Anniston, Golden Springs, DeArmonville, White Plains, and Choccolocca. Certainly a strong supporter of athletics, schools, a longtime volunteer. He served with me for many years on the board of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes of the Chehaw Valley, helping out with our FCA banquet that we have for the Calhoun County basketball tournament, really making that banquet happen. That was his idea, making that happen on Wednesday night at the City Meeting Center in Anniston. Calhoun County Commissioner Danny Shears bringing you our show today here on After the Game, our reclassification special. I want to look at this set we've got here. I want to thank the folks. We are coming to you today from Sound Solutions on Highway 78 West in Oxford. We're just down from Oxford High School, the football stadium, the City Hall here, and we got a great setup here. Jordan Smith, Joey Hutto, all the staff here have done a fantastic job in providing us with a home. This is not our normal setup that we have on Friday nights. We got a lot of things we're doing differently. This is a special show, and they were able to accommodate us. And let me just tell you, a live production like this video board that you're seeing here, they can do this for you, for your organization. So if your church, your business, your organization, whatever it is, your school, if you've got special events like this coming up, look at what they've done for us here today. They've done a great job, and I want to thank the entire Hinkle family, led by Charlie Hinkle, been doing a great job for us here today. Heath Hambrick is here from the Fort Payne Times-Journal, from Southern Torch Media, helping us out behind the scenes, getting everything done here today, making all this happen. But we want to thank the folks from Sound Solutions. Check them out for any of your audio-visual needs, live event production needs. They will take care of you and do it great, just like they've done here today with our reclassification. We are going to be joined by a couple of folks, one live in person. We're scheduled to be joined by the head coach of the Sacs Wildcats, Shannon Felder. Coach Felder has coached all over the state. He's been in South Alabama. He's been here at Donahoe. He's been at a lot of different schools. We're going to get his perspective. Sacs moving to Class 2A for the first time in school history. He's scheduled to join us live. And then we also have our District 6 representative on the Alabama High School Athletic Association Central Board of Control. One of the guys who was in the meetings making this happen, voting on this, is Mike Welch. Mike Welch is the superintendent of Cherokee County Schools. He's the District 6 rep. He is a former chairperson of the Central Board of Control, the Central Board president. He's going to pull over. He's coming back from Montgomery, back to center. He's going to pull over on the side of the road, as I understand it, guys, and is going to join us via Zoom. We're going to try to make that happen as best we can if we can get Mr. Welch into a good cell phone service there, then we're going to try to pull him in as well. Joined by Coach Michael Short, one of my partners on Friday night here on After the Game, and also our special guest today, Westbrook Christian head football coach Steve Smith. And we've been breaking all this down. First time really, and I've lost track of time. I have no idea what time it is, but the first time we've had a chance to really kind of catch our breath. You're scheduling games here.
Right.
We're trying to get all this information out, focusing here on East Alabama. Let's talk about the big picture. And the big picture of this is, again, no more 7A. So in essence, we added and subtracted. We added 2 private school classifications, subtracted 1 public school classification. So we had 7 classes. Now, guys, we're going to have 8. So we increased by 1. That's the net. 6 public school classes, 2 private school classes. No 7A. No more 1 to 1.35 ratio for the privates. No, as far as a competitive balance for the privates. That's all out. Just overall, kind of, you guys kind of talk to me and tell me what your overall thinking is now that we kind of had a chance over the last hour to kind of let this sink in.
I'll let you go, Coach.
Well, the first thing because now that I'm retired, and I see a bigger picture, and he's now in a private school setting, so he sees the bigger picture also. The most important thing for me was that there's a lot of people out there on social media that wants to blame. I would not want to be in Coach Harmon and some of those people that had to sit and make these decisions. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes, and I've told them that. The most important thing is what's the best thing for everybody. And, when it comes down to making decisions, a lot of times it may not be the best thing for me exactly, my school, right. But if it's the best thing for overall state of Alabama, right. then I'm for it. As long as it's the best thing for everybody. You may not like your travel or whatever, but I do know that coaches are the most resilient people in the world. And they'll figure out, look, there it is, now I just got to go deal with it. If you start feeling sorry for yourself, then you're going to fail, and it's going to bleed over to your kids and your program. Right. What I'm doing right now, if I'm a new school and I get all these new schools I've never even played or seen before, I'm going to personally get out this weekend and drive to their stadium and tell me how long it takes to get there. I'm going to see what their dressing facilities are like, and I'm going to bring all that stuff back and start handing a sheet to my players so they know their mascots, because you don't have a choice. The first time we went in the South, I had to go to Tallahassee. I said, where's that at? And I went to Tallahassee, and I'd go to the Valley and all these different places, showed a picture, a map for all our fans, and get them ready for it, because you might as well, because you don't have a choice. You got to go ahead and play it. So, I mean, to me, I'm still wrapping my head around it, but you know what? It is what it is, and we got to go out and make it happen.
Well, and we tell players all the time, you control what you can control. And that's the same thing for us as coaches and administrators. You control what you can control. I love coaching high school football. I love the kids at Westbrook Christian. I love our community. I love our school. Whatever region you put us in, that's who we're going to play. We'll line up and go play on those Friday nights, and there are no excuses. We don't hear about travel and distance. We don't hear about who's in our region, who's not in our region. We don't hear about the rivalries that we might have lost, or could pick up another game here or there, being a non-region game. You can't control all that stuff. You want the players to control what they control. At Westbrook Christian today, at 2 o'clock, I want our players to control being better than they were yesterday. I want our coaches to control pushing our players to be better than they were yesterday. And we're going to get up and go to school again on Monday, good Lord willing, if we don't have the bad weather. And we're going to start another week, and we'll start looking, hopefully in the next couple of hours, we'll have an idea who our region coordinator is. That coordinator will be setting up a meeting for the coaches to all get together, draw it out of a hat or whatever we do to be able to determine when we play everybody in our region, what extra week we're going to have off since we're in a 7-team region. I'm going to be working the phone all day today trying to finish out a varsity schedule. I'm still trying to make a junior high and JV schedule for Monday night because of a lot of the uncertainty that was there. But just trying to get those things done. And, again, controlling the things that I can control, having our players control the things they can control. End of the day, when August rolls around, man, we're going to be getting ready for high school football, and there's nothing better in a young person's life in the state of Alabama than high school football season.
And I want to say this, too, and I believe you'll agree with me, because I'm already getting text, and this sentiment is out there. Well, a private school championship may not mean as much anymore. Bull. A championship is a championship.
Right.
If that's who they got me playing and we win it, that trophy's still going to look the same. It's still going to count. Right. It won't take away for the number of wins that you or your teams have had. It's not going to be that way. So a championship is a championship.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Friday night's an in-state special.
Absolutely.
And if they got the lights on, you're playing, whether it's at home or away, and you got another team on the other sideline. That's a life experience that young men will never forget, and I'm just excited about getting to still be a part of it.
Absolutely. We have a lot more to come. We've got Shannon Felder, head coach of the Sacs Wildcats. He's going to be next live on set with us. And then we're going to hopefully be joined by Mike Welch from the Alabama High School Athletic Association and a whole lot more as we roll on this Friday with the After the Game AHSAA Reclassification Special. Brought to you by Farmers and Merchants Bank. Also brought to you by Judd Edwards State Farm Insurance and Calhoun County Commissioner Danny Shears. We'll be back in just a moment.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So show off your colors and support your local school with the F&M Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnm.bank. Member FDIC.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Judd Edwards for your personal price plan today.
And again, we want to thank Calhoun County Commissioner Danny Shears out of District 2. That includes East Anniston, East Oxford. That includes Golden Springs, White Plains, Choccolocca, DeArmonville, and those areas. Bringing you this show. Also, he's the guy that's made a lot of things possible, like the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Calhoun County Basketball Tip-Off Banquet. We just had that Wednesday night at the City Meeting Center. We're honoring the legends during the Calhoun County Basketball Tournament, the Calhoun County Football Media Day with the Calhoun County Quarterback Club. All of those, the brainchild of Calhoun County Commissioner Danny Shears, and a big part of bringing you this show today. We're going to bring in, at this point in time, we are doing some live television. We're going to bring in the head coach of the Sacs Wildcats. Coach, right there on that X, you'll be good. Head coach of the Sacs Wildcats, Coach Shannon Felder. Coach, thank you for taking time to be with us today.
Yes, sir.
Wanted you here specifically, just like we wanted Coach Smith here. We had specific reasons why we wanted Coach Smith. Wanted you here because, one, you've coached all over the state of Alabama. You've coached public school. You've coached private school.
Right.
And Sacs for the first time ever. Big news today that we kind of thought might be coming. Sacs for the first time in school history is dropping down to Class 2A. Mm-hmm. And so your thoughts on, from a Sacs perspective and your football team heading into your second season there, your perspective on what happened today with reclassification?
Well, I was a bit surprised. I really thought that they would keep things kind of the way they've been in the past. I know people hate change, and so I was a little surprised about it, but I'm excited. I'm excited for our team. I'm excited for the opportunity we have.
The travel, very good, because
Right.
this, except for Vincent, every team is in Etowah, Calhoun County. So this is basically just, at most a 30-minute drive to
Right.
play everybody you're going to play in region play.
Well, that's definitely going to help saving money. That's most teams that have had to spend a lot of money doing a lot of travel probably excited as I am, because I know that for me and for our kids, the closer we can get home, the better we have a chance of having our fans there to support us.
This is a situation where not a lot of change. I know it's a change from 3 to 2, but you're still in there with Piedmont, still Ohatchee, still Welborn, folks like that in there. Pleasant Valley. Tell us about the schedule and kind of how you see this new region you're going to be in.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was excited to find out one way or the other how it was going to turn out. But to be coaching, to have the opportunity to have an impact on young players' lives, I was going to be happy regardless, one way or the other. I just want to be able to play, want to be able to give our guys an opportunity to better themselves and better their chances of earning some scholarships. So it wasn't going to matter to me one way or the other.
The positive thing for you, Coach, is you don't have to go out today or tomorrow and start saying, all right, guys, we got to learn out. Y'all don't even know who this team is. You don't know who that team is. At least you're going to be familiar rivalry-wise with those people, because that's tough to get a schedule and all of a sudden you don't even know who they are.
Right.
And trying to get your team just to know who they are. So now you got kids, that's the positive thing about it is you got kids, they've played against each other in football and basketball and different sports. So they're going to know each other, where there's a lot of teams out here today went, wow, who are these people we're going to play?
Absolutely. But like I said, most of the teams that are in our region, we've either played against them in football or basketball, or we've done 7-on-7 against them, over the summer. So there's we're familiar with a lot of the teams that are going to be locally. But I will tell you, as soon as I saw some of the other teams, I went online and kind of see what kind of team they had, kind of season they had, who they had returning for next year. So
he's already been doing his research, trying and then also Coach Smith was up here actually working while he was with us on the non-region schedule.
Right.
So that's something else that I'm sure, looking at too, is those non-region games.
Right. We are pretty close to getting everything full as far as the non-region games are concerned, but we still got a few things that we're waiting to see how it turns out. But for the most part, we kind of know who we're going to be playing our non-region game.
Did you have any teams, because guys, I don't know why, but some of them start in the middle of the football season, start trying to schedule you.
Yeah.
And did you have anybody, all right, they weren't in your region, now they are now, that you thought, well, they're going to be my non-region game, and now all of a sudden you find out they're in your region? Did you have any of that take place?
Gaston and Welborn.
That's who you thought, we'll play them?
We thought Welborn there was a possibility. Of course, towards the end, I think Mr. Boyd was pretty convinced that Welborn would be 2A.
Yes.
But I was still a little uncertain. So we scheduled with Welborn and we scheduled with Gaston, and then turns out both of them are in our region. So, yeah.
Coach, let's talk about, because we mentioned your experience at Donahoe, and now Donahoe's completely, as far as playoff goes, they're in a region now with teams from Tuscaloosa and Prattville and all those kind of places. Your experience, your years at Donahoe, so this split, restructuring, separation, whatever they want to call it, what is your there's your region right there that we just talked about with West End in there, as well as Vincent and other things we talked about, Piedmont, Pleasant Valley. But from a private school perspective, kind of just what do you think about this separation, split, whatever, of the private schools?
Well, I think, for instance, and of course I'm not at Donahoe, but I'm still very much a Donahoe fan, support Donahoe. I mean, that was when I enjoyed some of my best years of coaching. So I'll always remember Donahoe. Donahoe's always have a special place in my heart. But I think when you get schools like Donahoe that's going to have to compete against some of these other private schools, I think it's a little bit tougher on those guys. Tougher from the traveling standpoint, tougher from trying to match up with some of the opponents that you're going to be dealing with that's probably have a little bit more exposure as far as trying to get people to come and be a part of the program. In this area, to try to get some people to come to the private school, there's a lot of schools, a lot of competition. So I think it's going to be a little tough for those guys, but I'm sure Coach Smith's on top of it.
And tell people, because you were there, people just think that Donahoe and all private schools just got money just rolling in there in buckets. Tell them exactly it's not that way.
No, absolutely. I mean, at Donahoe, I knew we had to do a lot of fundraising, and the parents at Donahoe were big, because the parents organized a lot of stuff along with the school. We had several different events big events where we were trying to raise money for the football program. But people think that the money is just sitting there and it's, you just go and get whatever you want when you want, but it's not like that at all.
Yeah, you got a lot of, I think that's one of the big misconceptions is for every, just as an example, for every, UMS, St. Paul's, McGill-Tulane, Briarwood, people like that, these large private schools who perhaps do have a lot of resources.
Right.
There's 3 or 4 literally Victories, JCAs, Faiths, Donahoes that are not just sitting there swimming in resources.
Your bigger cities have them.
And it's a year-to-year struggle trying to come up with the money to be able to meet the demands of each of the programs, and then trying to find them to distribute the money based on needs of the program. So it's a little tough, but I think in really I remember when I talked to Josh Niblett, and he was telling me that everybody think Hoover just got all this money everywhere. But I remember him telling me that it was, year to year, they've got to do a lot, got to get a lot of parent involvement like we did to
because they need a lot.
Money.
They need a lot of money.
Absolutely.
They needed more than what you would need.
Absolutely.
But let's talk sacks for a second. We got time to talk sacks for a second?
That's why we're here, to talk sacks football, yes.
I watched y'all some last year, got to see you on film, got to see you in a 7-on-7 during the summer. And I know you got there, kind of late, and here I'm just trying to throw a staff together and much less get a staff together and got to keep my kids. Because you know how hard it is, especially here inside of Calhoun County, keeping kids at your school.
Big challenge.
And yeah, very big challenge. But with your young kids, I thought each week y'all got better and better and better. And I think people, a lot of people would say, sacks, sacks, we don't worry about that. When I saw that sacks, and he'll tell you when it came up on the schedule, I pointed at him and said, that's a team you got to reckon with. They had a lot of, maybe 17, 18 kids, but you had some 8th graders and 9th graders out there playing against the Piedmonts and people like that. Yeah. So I think that the future's bright for sacks.
Well, and I've said that all along. I said that when I was, we had the first big media day.
Yes.
That I felt like the future for Sacks football and Sacks sports is big. It's bright. With our soccer team, there's a lot of young kids. Wrestling team, there's a lot of young kids. My basketball team is full of basically 9th and 10th graders that I'm going to have for the next couple of years. So there's a lot of young talent that needs to be developed, that needs to mature. But it's exciting to be in a position to where you can look and say, we have a bright future here.
Plus, you got an administrator that's an athletic guy.
Absolutely.
And then
Mr. Boyd texts me and say, what are we thinking about for these non-region games? So he's on top of it. Yeah, he's definitely on top of everything.
Facilities. Tell them what's going on out there at Sacks right now, facilities.
Oh, well, I'm super excited. They are finishing up the softball field and the baseball field. I think the softball field and the baseball field should be done. Softball's done. I think it's just got 1 or 2 more things to add. It's minor things. And then the baseball field's about the same. But I would say in probably another week or so, both of them are going to be completed. And then we're going to finish schedule some games for soccer early so that they can start on the football field. And I'm definitely super excited about the field and the turf and how it's going to look. And I think it's going to save money from having to paint and having to schedule practice to not have to get off a little early so we can paint the field and not have to kind of schedule practice a certain way because it may rain Thursday, so we've got to paint the field Wednesday. And so now you got to improvise your Wednesday schedule.
And that practice field, toward the end of the season, is just like you might as well be in the parking lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that may cut down on injuries, especially your ankles and knees.
Well, I'm certainly hoping to cut down. I'm certainly hoping to add to it. A lot of people don't like turf. I've always enjoyed playing on turf. From the first time I played, which was back in the 80s at Alabama, and I told I think I told Mr. Boyd and Mr. McDonald, of all the years I've been coaching, 30 plus years, this is the first time that I'll be at a school where we have a turf football field.
And for you that don't know, all the Calhoun County schools are having turf on their baseball, softball, and football
field.
Every school in Calhoun County will have turf this fall except for Donahoe, JCA, and Hope Christian. Every other school in the county is going to have turf at this point in time. Coach, before we let you get out of here, because I know you got things going on today, busy day, let's talk about, I guess the next step is scheduling those non-region games and, of course, the order of your region. So do you have a coordinator yet for your region? You don't know that yet?
I don't know that yet. I'm sure Mr. Boyd's probably already gotten a couple of phone calls and informed him. But I was really just trying to get my sub together to get it so I can make it here with you guys. So
appreciate that. Final question, what are you looking for? You lost Welborn, you lost Gaston because now they're in your region.
Right.
What are you looking for in non-region teams? Is it travel? Is it gates? Is it competitiveness? What are you?
It's a combination of all of the things that you mentioned. With the young team, I remember when I was at Donahoe and I talking to Mrs. Hurd about the football schedule. I thought it was important that we put ourselves in a position to where we would have games where we could compete.
Yes.
Whether we won or not, we wanted to be able to compete, so it would build confidence whether they break it. I think it's important when you got a young team that you kind of, put them in a position where they have a chance for success. Everybody and their mama called us about trying to play games, wanting to pay us and everything else. But
well, sometimes your region is so tough that you think, look, non-region wise guys, especially for the next 2 years, we need some games we got a chance to win.
Right.
If
you want some winnable games.
And sometimes those winnable games is what gets you to a point where now we got some confidence and we can win one of them region games.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was at Dono, like I said again at Dono, we took about 2 or 3 games that was probably a 2-hour ride.
Yeah.
But those were strategic moves that I thought paid off because I think we got to gain the confidence that we needed to gain. And I think this year having a lot of local games is going to be big for us in so many ways. And then, like I said, it's also going to save money.
When it comes down to coaching, Coach, I'd drive 4 hours for a win.
Well, I'm right there with you.
Coach Felder, thank you for being with us, and look forward to the 2026 football season that's coming. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks.
We're going to transition right now. We've got standing by from the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Central Board member Mike Welch, Superintendent of Education of the Cherokee County Schools. And I think we've got Mike right there on Zoom. Mike, you're pulled over somewhere. Where are you right now?
I'm about Sycamore, Alabama.
Okay, I know where Sycamore is, and I know you're right on the edge of cell service, and Sycamore is really good, but you go 2 or 3 miles up the road and it's not good at all. You are coming back from Montgomery. You have been there, I think, yesterday. You had a work session with the Central Board, a long work session, and then meetings today to approve what we've been talking about for the last bit here on High School Football Alabama's After the Game. Kind of tell us, because this is a monumental day for high school football and high school athletics in the state. It's a big change. I said I thought it was the biggest change football-wise and probably for all sports since we went from 4 to 6 classes back in 1984, and that's been a long time ago. Your perspective on what has transpired and what was released today?
Well, I think you're exactly right. It is the biggest change since moving from 4 to 6 classes, and we knew that trying something new, there were going to be some shockers, and I've heard you guys talking about some of those as you moved along and moved through those regions. But I really commend Mr. Harmon and the staff for coming up with a plan that I do think is beneficial for all our member schools. And it keeps us together because we are better together, and it is different. And some people are going to like it, and some people's not going to like it. But I think it's a good plan to move forward and to move high school athletics forward in the state of Alabama for the next 2 years.
Mike, in the press conference, Mr. Harmon said something I think a lot of folks maybe missed there that I think is important. He really, I think, sort of emphasized that, hey, this is for 2 years. And if this doesn't work in 2 years, there's a reclassification coming, mandated in the bylaws of the AHSAA that has to happen every 2 years. So this could change again. If it doesn't work, you could revert back to the way it was, right?
Well, sure. I think moving through this, the idea would be is we want to make it work. We want this to be as good as it can be for student athletes across the state, regardless of what school they're enrolled in. But yes, classification is always just for a 2-year period. So when we moved from 4 to 6, had that not gone well, we certainly could have reverted back. After some time, it morphed into from 6 classes to 7 classes. And now we've changed from 7 classes basically to 8 classes. So we're increasing championships, and that's a good thing because that's beneficial to kids.
Mike, tell me just an estimation here. Hours. How many hours? And people think, these guys, they just got behind the door yesterday and hashed this out. That is not the way this works. How many hours, man hours, do you think have been put into studying this, all the different scenarios to reach where we are today? I don't think folks really realize how hard you and the Central Board and the staff of the AHSAA work on and there's a lot of other things going on, but just working on reclassification.
Absolutely. It's probably the largest thing that we do. As a Central Board, we're, championship play is the direct responsibility of the Central Board, but classification is as well, and it is the biggest thing that we get to do. It's really hard to put an estimate on that, John, because there's so many hours that go into it. It is more of Mr. Harmon and the staff, and it's Mr. Harmon's first time going through as executive director. Ron Ingram asked me earlier how many I had gone through, and I think I've been on the board something like 17 years, so probably 8 classifications that I've gone through. This is the one that has had the most changes. I was there when we went from 6 to 7 classes, and there were some changes and some things to get used to. But this is the most change that I've seen since I've been a board member. But there's no way to count how many hours. You might want to ask Mr. Harmon's wife. I bet Holly could tell us how many hours that he's put in to classification. In the last year. It's not just something you throw together 2 weeks before the meeting either. It's something that evolves. And now that we've got this approved, we'll start looking immediately at how it needs to evolve in the future. And so it's a never-ending process.
Mike, you obviously are representing the AHSAA as a whole, but specifically you're representing District 6, which is our area of the state of Alabama. From a District 6 perspective, I'll have to say there's a lot of changes there, but I'm excited about, just from a football perspective, we haven't even gotten into the other sports to even hash that out, but from a football perspective only, I'm excited about some of the matchups that we're going to see just here in our local area in District 6 this football season. There's going to be a lot of great games, some unique matchups we've never ever seen before. I'm excited about what's coming this football season.
Well, I agree with you, John, and I think every 2 years that's kind of what schools look at, and we see what's changed. But for the last several years, it's been largely the same with just a few adjustments. And this new plan, this restructuring, does bring about some totally different matchups, some long ago matchups that'll be revived, and that's always exciting. When you and I may remember that these schools played when we were in elementary school, middle school, whatever, and they haven't played in quite some time. And so to see them, back on the schedule again, it's kind of exciting. So I agree with you. It brings about a lot of excitement.
You, as the superintendent of Cherokee County Schools and a guy who was a graduate of Cherokee County High School and obviously deep roots in Spring Garden, not a lot of big changes with your schools, the 5 schools that you are superintendent over in Cherokee County. I think the most significant, not a lot with Spring Garden, pretty much, maybe one little change there, same way with Galesville, same way with Sandrock, but with Cedar Bluff moving back from 2A to 1A, and we were talking with Coach Steve Smith earlier, former Cedar Bluff longtime coach, about how we kind of felt like that's where Cedar Bluff really belongs. That's where they've been for most of their history. And then Cherokee County going to be in a region where there's 8 teams in 7 different counties. So you talk about some unique matchups there. I think those are the 2 maybe biggest changes involving your teams and schools there in Cherokee County.
Well, that's right. But Cedar Bluff, they'll be right at home in that region because that is where they have been for most of their history. And then, Center being able to go that way, but they've been that way before. So they've played the Gunnersvilles and the Fairviews and been in the region with some of those folks in the past. So, it looks like a good region, even though it's spread out just a little bit.
Absolutely. Mike, this is your time, your platform, as you're sitting on the side of the road in Sycamore, Alabama, there on Highway 21. What message, because we got a lot of folks watching, what message would you like to send on behalf of District 6 and the AHSAA to all of our high school football fans out there across East Alabama? The floor is kind of yours right now.
Well, thank you, John. And again, just appreciate Mr. Harmon and staff for doing, all the work and laying this groundwork and putting things together for us. But I want everyone to understand that it's all about what we think is best for student athletes. It's what we think is best for kids across the state. I can't go in there as a board member and just look out for Spring Garden or my schools in Cherokee County. I mean, we've got to go in as board members and do what we think is best, considering the whole picture from the Tennessee line to the Gulf. And that takes some doing, if you will, because it's very easy to get caught up in what's my situation going to look like. But we have some great board members and that do a really good job at looking at that big picture. And it's not about finances. It's not about what makes the association the most money. It's not about anything other than trying to do what's best for our student athletes at all of our member schools. And it's, the board is not just representing one side of the coin. The board is not just representing public schools. Terry Curtis is the president of the board. He's from a private school currently, but he's not just representing private schools. We're there to represent our membership. And I commend our board members for doing that, and just having the courage to try something new. And I hope people will be patient with it. I hope we'll grasp that excitement of some of those new matchups and new things. And I think it'll really be good. But again, the heart of the board is just to do what's best for high school athletics, not any personal, agendas or anything, vindictive toward any other school or anything like that. It's just trying to do what's best, and I'm excited about it.
Micah, thank you so much for 17 years of dedicated service on the Central Board of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. You have done, I've been watching this for all my life, and you've done as good of a job on that Central Board of anybody that I know of down through the 50-plus year history that I've been watching high school athletics in this state. I commend you for the hard work, the effort, the long hours that you put in addition to being a superintendent of education on top of all that. And you've done a great job at that as well. And thank you. We're going to let you crank the car back up, get back on Highway 21, and get back to Cherokee County. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you, John. You're too kind to say those words, but thank you very much for covering it and for covering high school athletics.
Mike Welch is the District 6 representative out of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, superintendent of Cherokee County Schools, our guest here on High School Football Alabama's After the Game Reclassification Special. We're going to take one more break. We'll wrap it up, and then we'll let you get on with your Friday in just a moment.
At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're showing off our school spirit with our newly designed vertical Spirit debit cards. Now, these are customized with your favorite school's logo, and half of every Spirit card purchased goes toward your school. So, show off your colors and support your local school with the F&M Spirit debit card. You can learn more at fnm.bank. Member FDIC.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Judd Edwards for your personal price plan today.
Again, we are coming to you today specially from Sound Solutions on Highway 78 West in Oxford, and they are professionals. You see that word pro there, pro audio, video, and lighting. They are the pros. They are the best anywhere in the state of Alabama for whatever you have, sound, audio, video, your church, your business, your organization, your school. They'll take care of that just like they've done here today. This entire production from Sound Solutions, they can do this for you as well. They can do it not only in studio, they'll come to your location, they'll come outdoors, indoors, wherever you are. They are the best in this state at audio, visual, and lighting needs. Sound Solutions, located where we are today, right here on stage on Highway 78 West in Oxford. Jon Holder back with Coach Michael Short. Kind of feels like football season.
Yeah.
Except it's sunlight outside. We're a Friday afternoon instead of a Friday night. Coach, wrapping things up, we've got a lot to digest. I will tell you that Auburn High School is still the largest high school in the state of Alabama. 2,241 students and their average daily enrollment. Going down to the other end of things, I always look at this. The smallest school in the state, they don't play football, obviously, but they do wrestle, is Alabama School for the Blind with 32 students. Smallest football playing school is, it looks like Marengo with about 49 students. Galesville with only 61 students in the top three grades, plus ninth grade holdbacks. Ragland, one of the 10 smallest schools in the state as well. So basically, that's just some little tidbits there. But we are now 8 classifications in the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
6 public school and 2 private school, Coach.
8 more games, 8 championship games that we'll get to have instead of 7. 8, and then if you add the girls, we don't know exactly how many that's going to be yet for the the girls flag football championship. So that should be a big day. I after watching weeks, months of everybody wondering what it's going to be, now that we know what it is, I encourage everybody, especially the fans, because I know what the coaches are going to do. They're going to rally and do, as Coach Smith said, we can only control the controllables. What we can control is what we're going to worry about. But as fans, you need to rally around this because it's not going to change. So you need to rally around it, be positive in your community, be positive with your teams, be positive on social media, because none of you, I promise, would want to be in that decision-making of what they just had to do. I'm sure it was not easy. Somebody's not happy, and somebody is happy. It's like going to a game. If an official makes a call, half everybody's mad and half everybody's happy. But we got to figure out, come together in the state, and the people that scream and holler about the AHSAA don't know what they're doing, people all over the country, other states come to Alabama to see how they're doing things. Don't say, well, Georgia does this, Georgia does that. Yeah, they've got some things that they do good. Every state probably has something they do good. But I feel like our association is doing everything they can to take care of every athlete, boy and girl, in this state.
Very well said, Coach. Very well said from Coach. From Mike Welch from the Central Board. We want to thank some folks. We want to thank Westbrook Christian head football coach Steve Smith for joining us. We want to thank Sachs High School head football coach Shannon Felder for joining us. We want to thank Superintendent of Cherokee County Schools and AHSAA Central Board Representative out of District 6 Mike Welch for joining us via Zoom. And we want to thank our outstanding crew here. We've already mentioned we got the entire Hinkle families here with us today, led by Charlie Hinkle. Did a great job under a lot of pressure with all these graphics that we were building on the fly. Of course, our director and the guy who put all this together, Jordan Smith, here with us today as well. And then, of course, Heath Hambrick joined us here. Also, he is the sports editor of the Fort Payne Times-Journal, also works with couple of radio stations up in Northeast Alabama with Southern Torch Media, helping us out here as well, kind of observing things that went on. So we are very thankful for our sponsors as well. Calhoun County Commissioner out of District 2, Danny Shears, also Farmers and Merchants Bank, and Judd Edwards, State Farm Insurance Agent in Heflin, being our sponsors and making this show possible. We have got a lot, and I do mean a lot, of content still coming your way. Watch on the weekend. We've got, just besides reclassification, we got some awards, presentations, some things like that. Our announcement of our Team of the Year is coming this weekend. So you keep in on Facebook and YouTube at High School Football Alabama, and we will have all that information for you. And then it won't be long, folks. We'll have some more content coming your way all throughout the spring and summer. It won't be long until we're in media days at High School Football 2026, which is going to be totally different than any other year we've ever seen in the history of high school football. If you can't get excited about that, I don't know. We'll see you soon. Thanks to all the folks making this possible here today on High School Football Alabama's After the Game Reclassification Special. Have a blessed weekend.